Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Raw Side. We have a special guest this evening. We have Dawson Toller with us. He's a young investigator, and I'm excited to pick his brains and see what's going on in there. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mike. Hi, Jim. Hi, Faith. Uh, Not going bananas. Hi, welcome, welcome. All right, everybody, give a great round of applause to Dawson. Hi, Dawson. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
How's
Hopefully everyth
everybody in the chat?
Yeah, hopefully everybody's good. Hopefully everything's working. I know everybody's been having, like, internet issues, and it's just hopefully we don't crash and burn.
Oh, geez. Yeah, hopefully not.
Oh, boy, yeah, last week I had a heck of a time. I think it's got something to do with the solar eruptions, and
Yeah,
it's
I was
affecting everybody's internet.
yeah, I was hearing about that a while ago that can affect I guess the cell towers and Wi-Fi and all that.
Yeah, everything. Oh, it was a miserable mess last week. So I moved my whole studio to a different room and making it closer to, my router because I figured, "Okay, maybe that's the issue," and, so all new, so it's hopefully it works out. If not,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to stick a big antenna on the house apparently.
Yeah. Put a big satellite dish up there.
Yeah, right. My neighbors might really enjoy that giant satellite on the roof. So so I'm glad everybody could make it. Wonderful, wonderful. Hoping we can put on a great show for you guys. Dawson, I just wanted to actually tell you I'm very impressed with you.
Oh,
Being a young man doing the paranormal field, a lot of I mean, everybody sees it. All of these people that do all of this fake content and just trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, and you've taken the right path, going down the right road to find the real answers. And I really commend you for that because it's easy to take the easy way out and just go for the clicks and the quick money. And I'm really impressed that you're doing what you're doing and it's the right thing.
yeah, to be completely honest, I didn't really know that ghost hunting on YouTube was like a big thing until I started doing it. Like I used to just do vlogs. Like it was just me and my friends messing around. And I got like an advertisement on Facebook one day for like a ghost hunt. And I told all my friends, I'm like, how fun would this be for all of us to just like go ghost hunting? Like, what if we see a ghost or something? And everybody was down, and then everybody kind of backed out. And then so I started looking into it a little more. So I bought some equipment, started looking at places, and then, by the time it was actually filming a video, it was just me and a couple friends that were actually down to do it. And like, it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe like a week before I actually filmed my first ghost hunting video that I watched like my first YouTube ghost hunting video. Like, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know, like, I
Right.
mean, obviously, I was very inexperienced. I had never done it. I didn't know anything about any of the equipment, but still, from like day one, I was, oh, like, we're actually going to do this for real. We're actually going to try to find a ghost and this and that. Like, I didn't know that, like, I knew that, like, obviously, like, with pictures and orbs and all that like there's a lot of fakery and stuff, but
Right.
I didn't know that it was like a big YouTube thing until
Oh,
after I started doing it.
exactly. Yeah, because I'm pretty much new to the YouTube thing as well. And I was watching a lot of the fakers, and I'm thinking, well, because I've been doing this for like 20 years. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I don't even get in 20 years, I haven't even gotten that much evidence or findings, as you want us to call it. And like I've had one EVP recorded in this whole 20 years. Because back when I started, we didn't have, all the video and all of that. It was pretty much Polaroid pictures, 8 cassette tape recorder. That's how we did it. We didn't have all this fancy stuff.
Yeah, I
When I
mean, I
started
still take
Yeah,
Polaroids.
I was thinking about, yeah, getting another Polaroid camera. I
Yeah,
really think
so
that's a good way to go to you never know what you're gonna catch.
you really can, like, so there's like a big misconception with a lot of people where they're like, oh, they're getting a bunch of stuff that it's like fake. Well, no, like I mean, genuinely, within, it hasn't even been 2 years since I've done this, I've probably caught like most of what's thought to be able to be caught. Like I don't know if I get lucky. I don't know if I'm like a good vibe or whatever the case is, but I mean, literally, like, you name it, I've probably like caught it. It's crazy.
It's
It's
fantastic
I
is
I
what it
learned
is.
very quickly that like it's it's real. Like the
Right.
first time I went, we had a lot of devices. We had a lot of like temperature changes, and I had a friend that he claimed to see a shadow figure. But we were in a hotel, and while there was nobody there, it was just one of those things where, oh, maybe he's freaking out. And the second place I ever went to, my friend got like 8 10-inch long scratches down his back. The third place I went to, we had a whole wardrobe, heavy wardrobe, slam in the room we like just left. Like it's been pretty crazy. And like after the third place I went to, I was like, okay, I really need to like look into this, take it more serious, like protect myself, this and that. I'm like, because this stuff is like, it's not always just like fun, like, oh, look who we're talking to. Like sometimes it can actually be pretty messed up.
Oh, yeah, well, it catches you off guard because 'cause you're really not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Fantastique. Hi, Nightmare Nation. Just wanna pop in. Hi, Jan. Thanks for all showing up, thanks. Yeah, and I think that well, because I've watched your videos, and I'm really amazed at what you have been catching. But you've had the great opportunity to go to a lot of these famous haunts. So I think that's part of the deal, and then you're open for it because you are
Yeah.
so new and innocent towards the field. So I think, yeah, you are drawing something towards you because you're so open about it. Did
I
anything
believe in that too. I believe that like if you're open and to be complete, I know it sounds stupid. A lot of people that are very skeptical or don't necessarily believe, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're a believer or not. Well, the thing is, it seems like people that are like full believers and go into these places, they tend to get like some crazy stuff. And the people that are more, it's not real or this and that, like nothing happens. And I like to attribute that to these are people. And if I'm sitting there talking to you just back and forth and you're not answering me, you're just completely ignoring everything that I'm telling you and you're not doing anything, I'm going to like leave, I'm not going to want to talk to you. And I kind of think that's how it is with when you go ghost hunting, because if you're showing these signs, you're trying your best to talk and the person's just ignoring you. You're like, whatever.
right?
It's silly, but that's kind of like how I think of it is when you believe and you're really there trying to talk to them, they're going to want to talk to you.
Right. See, well, that's your style, your approach, and I think it's more open. A
Yeah.
lot of people, doing it for long periods of times. They've been to these places multiple times or multiple locations, and I think it just becomes jaded after a while. So yeah, you're not as open as somebody who's a newcomer because you've been doing this since 2022.
Basically, like literally, I think it was like December 28th or something like that of 2022. So, like, basically the new year of 2023. Um, yeah, it's been like a year and a half at best.
Right. So you're doing awesome. You're doing awesome. Your videos are fantastic, and it's really showing people that there is things to be found out there. You just have to be patient. And I do think that your style is great because it is. You're so open about it. Who was it? Somebody was just breaking your balls about you being innocent.
Oh,
Oh, wisdom.
wisdom.
He says, "Ha, Dawson, innocent."
Yeah. Yeah,
We're not
I
talking personally. We're just talking about paranormally innocent.
yeah, I like to look at it as these are slash were people, and
Yes.
I want to talk to them as if they still are people. I want them to be able to talk to me and feel heard. Even if like sometimes what you're doing is you're not talking to a ghost. I try to treat it as I am, and then after the fact, I'll be like, okay, was that a ghost, or was that just coincidence? Was it just me reaching, overthinking? But in the moment, I try to, okay, if this is Let's talk to them as if it is instead of just undermining or something, you know?
Right, not talking at them
Yeah.
is pretty much it, exactly. Yeah, I do the same thing. It's more like you're having a conversation with somebody that you know, and, if you treat them, because it was a living being at one time. So,
Some of them, you
some of
know?
them, well, because I don't go looking for the bad stuff, it always ends up
Yeah.
finding you, but, yeah, you don't go looking for the bad stuff. But, I think that, yes, even though that something is passed on, it's that energy still demands a certain, amount of respect. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanna be that treated that way, when I pass on, and if I ever plan on hanging out for a while, I don't want somebody to be talking at me, but, talking, to me, or, being with me as far
Yeah.
as, in an aspect. So,
That's how
so
I look at it.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm very impressed. Did anything ever happen to you at some point in your life to make you be interested in the paranormal field?
You know, I kind of get asked that a lot and I don't really know. So, when I was a kid, like we didn't have a lot of money, so like our vacations, we'd go to like ghost towns, and not like ghost as in like paranormal, but like empty towns that used to be thriving and now they're just abandoned buildings. So we used to just like go in the car, we'd go do that. We'd explore like abandoned amusement parks before they got torn down. There's one, Joyland. You ever heard of Joyland?
No.
I think it's like a kind of an East Coast thing. It was like a big chain of amusement parks, but they all went abandoned, and I've seen a couple of those. And like my mom was always kind of into it, but I was always too young to like go into it. And one day, it was after my grandpa died. It was like 2 months later. I was at his house, and I was staying there with my grandma, but I was sleeping in the living room, and that's where he had passed away. And I didn't even know it was his birthday because it was like sometime after midnight. I like to think it was probably around like 1 to 3 in the morning. I just randomly woke up. I had to like go to the bathroom. I like stood up and stretched. And he used to always like walk up and like surprise me and throw his hand on my shoulder and like
Right.
slap my shoulder. And yeah, I didn't know it was his birthday, and I just stood up to do that, and he did that. And I was like, I ran away like screaming, and because there was nobody there,
Right.
and I ran into my grandma's room and like basically kicked the dang door down. I think I was 12, maybe 13,
Right.
and I was like, "This just happened. This just happened. Like, what?" And she just was like, "Oh, it was your poppy," and then just went back to bed. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then so
Well,
I went
grandma
to
thought it was okay, so
yeah, so I went to the bathroom and I went and sat there in the chair and was just thinking. And I always felt kind of bad. I was like, man, if I would have turned around, if I would have, it's like, oh, what I would have done now. But at the time, it was scary as hell. And so and it never happened again to anybody.
right.
Nothing like that had ever. And it wasn't one of those things where I was like thinking about him and I was tricking myself. I literally just woke up to take a piss. And then I got a text a couple hours later because I was still up, just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
It's alright.
I cuss a lot. So,
That's okay.
um, but, and I got a text from his phone that said it's Poppy's birthday today. And I was like, what? And I was like, who is this? And it turns out that it was my sister because her phone had broke, so she was using his phone because we
Oh,
hadn't turned it off yet. But it was like the craziest
totally
thing.
freaked you out, right?
Yeah, because that happened, and then I got the text message like 2 hours later,
Oh,
and obviously I was like, "Who is this?" And my sister was like, my sister's name, you idiot. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I like called her and told her what happened. And she was like, really? And yeah, it never happened again. But even then, I didn't think it was a ghost. Like, I didn't think of it as like my grandpa's ghost. I just thought of it as like
right,
my grandpa came back and said hi. And yeah, that was 10 years before I started actually doing ghost hunting.
right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everybody has a certain experience like that when they're younger. Mine was when I was 8. And the funny part is it was in a castle. I don't know if you ever heard that on a program before. Um, and yeah, I had an encounter with the person that used to own the property. So, it freaks you out when you're a kid. So, but I
Where
mean,
where
I look at it as your grandpa was, just letting you know that he's there with you. And, that's a great thing.
Yeah, over the years, I've come to have a theory that they can come back on their birthday. I don't know if it's like a deal or like if it's, I don't want to get into religion, but heaven or hell or whatever. I don't know if it's like
Right.
some sort of deal. Hey, it's your birthday, you know? But over the years, I've told that story and I've had a few people tell me, like, oh, on this person's birthday, we had this happen. On this person's birthday, we had this happen. And over the years, I kind of came up with this like theory, like, well, what if, that's, it's a little
Yeah.
cliche, like, oh, it's your birthday, you can go back to Earth or whatever. But
Right.
um, yeah, it's a little interesting.
I said, well, you never know because I mean, I think they also show up when you're going through a hard time. And
Yeah,
they just let you know that they're there with you to support you during a difficult period and stuff like that. Because that happened to my aunt after my grandfather passed. She was going through a divorce, and it was in her kitchen, and she kept by her sink. She could smell his pipe tobacco, but then when she walked to the other side of the kitchen, she didn't smell it. And then when she went back to the sink, it was there again. And she pretty just said, "Dad, you're scaring the hell out of me. You have to leave." And then the smell went away. So it
that's
was I think he was him letting her know that he was there, during that difficult moment, and I think that we all experienced that at one time or another, whether we notice it or not. It's pretty
yeah.
much up to us. I wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody who's popping in. Hi, Candy. Hi, Morning Rain. Hi, Jeff. Who else did I miss here?
There's Steph.
Steph and Giselle.
Hey,
And
everybody.
everybody. Okay, just wanted to catch up with what everybody said. And Not Going Bananas says, Raw, you remind me of someone I know, even the way you speak. I hope it's a good person.
So where are you from?
I am from central New York. I'm at the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains.
Is that where you live? Is New York?
Yes.
So where's this castle?
Actually, it is in the town of Mohawk. It's They actually just recently, from what I heard, leveled it because it was in such disrepair, which is a
Oh,
shame. Because now that I'm, an adult, I wanted to uh, be able to go back and do an investigation there because that was my very first experience with the paranormal. Um, but I actually do have a piece of the stone from the building.
oh, that's cool.
So I have that, which I'm going to put in the original picture because my aunt used to be the caretaker there. So all of us kids used to be able to go there and spend the summers. And from what it was, the woman that owned it, very stubborn woman, always got her way. And this castle was a replica of one in Scotland that she adored. It was built in the 1800s. Um, and the reason they picked the town of Mohawk was because they just loved the valley, the scenery. She felt very comfortable there. And she told them that when she passed, she wanted to be buried in the tomb that was in the basement. They didn't do that. They buried her in New York City. So it is
Oh,
recorded that she was the poltergeist of the castle. The night that I had spent there, yeah, the cliche, the footsteps coming down the floor, you hear it coming down the hallway, and the rattling sound of like chains or whatever you want to call it. So I figured, okay, somebody was, joking around with me. It woke me right up. And I was sharing a room with cousins, but nobody else got up. And I opened the door and I called for my grandmother and my aunt. Nobody had answered, but the footsteps were getting louder and closer. And of course, as a kid, you're going to shit your pants. So I just
yeah.
made a beeline back to the bed, tried to wake everybody up. Nobody would get up. Just covered my head, and I heard the footsteps coming and coming and coming, and it stopped right at the door. And then, I was petrified. So that morning, I explained what happened to my aunt and my grandmother. My aunt started laughing, and then she told me the story behind the building and what and the history of the building. Apparently, the Roosevelts were related to them. So President Roosevelt had stayed there. Some of his family members are buried in the family cemetery that's further down on the property.
Which Roosevelt?
Um, I believe it was Theodore.
Oh, okay.
So, and the family members are buried there, but it's neglected. It's nobody takes care of it. I'm hoping maybe because I think they just sold parts of the property, so I'm hoping maybe to sneak back in there to get to that cemetery and get
Yeah, that'd be
some
cool.
film footage. I got
Yeah.
to talk my husband into it, just in case we get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
No, because I can't run like I used to, because we used to be able to run and hop fences. Those days are over. So if I get caught, I'm busted.
Yeah. You
Pretty
just put
much.
your hands up.
This is hey, yeah. I'm just taking some video. That's all.
Yeah.
I no more running. Not for this gal. Um, I'm thinking I pronounced it. The Cheney Mansion is where you went. Is that how it is pronounced?
Um, you broke up there a little bit. I
Oh,
think you were
is it
saying that.
pronounced the Cheney Mansion?
Yeah, Cheney.
Okay, I was just wondering. Um,
It's not the so there is two. If you look up Cheney Mansion, it's usually not the first one that comes up because there's one in like Chicago, and I
right.
think it's from like that political person, that Cheney political person. But this one is in Jerseyville, Illinois, which is kind of near Alton. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, we found it one day and we decided to go, and we got a really good tour from the guy who usually takes care of it. His name's Roger, and it was just one of those things. And we knew that something interesting might happen because there's this bedroom that they call the drunk room. And during the tour, there was a slight little stink in that room. And
Okay.
we didn't know anything about it. And we are kind of just like, geez, did the tour guide like rip ass? And he starts talking about like, if there's a smell in the room, like typically, you're gonna have a good night because that's one of the things that happens here is like the room smells like the his name was PD because he was always drunk and he had like a cough syrup addiction and everything. So
Okay. Yes.
his wife would lock him in that room, and he'd probably 1 second.
That's all right. Because we see that, in fact, nearly every home is haunted. It's and not for nothing, Mike. I believe that no matter where you go, there's some kind of haunting somewhere. People just don't pick up on it.
So yeah. Anyways, so we he was basically he'd get locked in there, he'd throw up or
Right.
crap himself, stuff like that. And it was funny because we kind of like smelled it a little bit. It was just very faint. And then he was telling us about it, and we're like, yeah, we can smell it. And he's like, yeah, like you can kind of get a whiff tonight. And so after we did the tour, there's a bathroom right next to there. And we're like, it's clearly not a ghost. Like it's the faucet or something. And he's
Right.
like, there's no plumbing in this bathroom. It's just for looks. It used to be. And we're like, huh. I'm like, well, maybe it's like I don't know, like stagnant water on like these faucet heads and stuff. And looked, shoved my nose into everything. I mean, the bathroom smelled like nothing. It just smelled like air.
Right.
But then you walk, 5 feet over or whatever, and the room stank. And we're
Oh.
like, this is, it's weird. So we did try to see like what it was. And he's like, trust me, we've done all of that. He's like, it just happens. And he was like, there is no reason why it should smell. It just does.
Isn't that wild?
Um, but then like sometimes it doesn't stink at all. And later that night when we went in there, it was like so bad. Like it got so bad that like when we shut the door, like our eyes started like watering, our tongues were getting dry. It just stank. It was like one of the and it's one of those things you can't like show on video. There's no like device to show like, hey guys, look, it says that it smells. We're not like lying.
Right.
But it's just yeah, and that's
Yeah,
people have been
that's wild.
yeah, people have been scratched there before too, but as far as I know, I don't think anybody was ever scratched in the basement like my friend was.
Yeah, that was
It was
something.
it was upstairs in the master bedroom closet. Somebody was like taunting, and they went in the closet and got these scratches uh, on the back of their neck. And we're no smell-o-vision, yeah. Um,
Not
so
yet. They're working on it.
yeah, and yeah, so whenever it happened, like we didn't know that any of that was even possible, really, because a couple of the people that, or one of the people that went with had never been before. They're just like, "Hey, I saw your first video. Like, I really want to go. Like, this stuff is cool. Like, I don't know if I believe." And my friend's doing the S. And what's interesting is he only said like 5 things in this whole like 13-minute span doing the
Right.
Estes method. But the most interesting one to me was after he's like shimmying his shoulders and everything because he feels something touching him. He hears, "I'm sorry," presumably after he got scratched.
Scratched.
And it was, when it happened, I was like, no, like you scratched yourself, and his arm can't even bend that
Right.
way.
Because
Like,
yeah, I seen you guys try to debunk it, and yeah, it was
yeah, I was like, no way. In my head, I don't think I said it in the actual video. It was like one of those things where you're like freaking out, and
right.
in my head, I'm trying to run through scenarios like, no, like he scratched himself, but it was such a massive scratch. Like he didn't scratch himself, and
Yeah, it was a big
he
one.
he could have done like maybe half of it. Like if he did it, he could have maybe done like half of it. But then at some point, it kind of like takes the angle where his arm like just, he would have had to like dislocate. He was a bigger guy. He would
Right.
have had to like dislocate his shoulder to like finish it off.
Yeah.
And it was it was crazy. I mean, really, it was like the video doesn't do it justice. It didn't focus right on it, but I mean, you could still see it. It was,
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we've seen it. That was like I said, you actually caught something like that it was actually real, where somebody didn't inflict it on themselves.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
quick
and
answer to this, Steph. No, it's the town of Mohawk, New York, is where the place was. It was called Gelson's Castle. But did you have a favorite part of doing that investigation? What was your favorite part of that mansion?
um, I mean, I kind of really enjoyed my friend getting scratched because the whole night, like off camera, because we'd take breaks like in between investigations and stuff that people obviously don't see because we shut the camera off, change out the battery, whatever. And he just kept saying like, because he was in my first video, and he's like, "I don't know if I believe all this device stuff," and he's like, "I don't know, something would have to touch me." He's like, "Something would have to touch me." And he just all night, he probably said it like 30 times throughout the night, like, something has to touch me for me to believe. But it wasn't him like asking for something to touch him. He was just saying like, if I'm really going to believe this stuff and not just like get excited about it, something has to touch me.
Right.
And something touched him for
There you
sure.
go. You asked for it.
Yeah, and what's interesting to that too is what a lot of people, I think kind of look over with how big it was, how far down his back,
Yes.
how raised it was, how red it was. I think if it was a person that did that, like a human living person, like if we did it, the skin would have broke. Like it would have had like if you
Like
like
little
scratch your,
droplets of blood, yeah, blood, the little droplets.
yeah, or even just the skin kind of like tearing a little bit,
Right.
like none of that. It was just like smooth,
Yeah.
but just raised. And he said it didn't even hurt. He said it
Now,
just
was
felt
it
like
2 or 3? Because I thought I saw 3.
it was 3. Yeah.
But
So it was yeah.
yeah.
It was, that is seriously like so crazy to me that I texted them when I was re-editing the video because that was from a very long time ago, and I texted all those people and said, we should go back. Like we should see if we can get that to happen again. And no one, when you go back and something crazy like that happens, we're probably not going to get anything.
You
It's,
never know.
but I was like,
You
we
never
should go
know.
back. And one of the people, that it was the only time he's ever in one of my videos, and it was the first time he ever went. When I texted him, he said, "That's fucked up," is all he said.
Well,
Because even he was like excited to go, but he didn't really know if he believed. He just thought it was super cool. And when I texted him about it over a year later, like almost a year and a half later, he goes, "That's fucked up," with a
yeah.
period. That's all he said.
It's what can you say?
Yeah, yeah.
There really isn't much you can say. Let's see, get cut off. Hi, Horror of Horrors. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for coming. Stay tuned. Welcome. Always remember, guys, if anybody ever wants to ask a question, just put it out there. and we'll put it up so Dawson can answer. Also, if you ever want to come on the live and just shoot the shit and go over stuff, I'm more than willing. You just let me know. It's always an open door policy here, as long as everybody respects each other. That's my only rule.
Right.
Okay, let me see. All right, I'm gonna ask you this question. I don't know if you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Um, can you just give us? Oh God, how do I put this? It pertains to the Sally house.
Okay.
It was that traumatizing for you that you will never go there again?
Yeah. Never.
Okay, and you don't want to elaborate on it at
So,
all, or
well, so I will a little bit. There is some personal stuff that I've shared with a couple people, but um, some of it pertains to like just really personal stuff that happened that I don't really want to involve like my family members about it.
right?
Um, but
You can keep it
so
as generic as you want.
yeah, so the title of the video is literally called "We're Never Coming Back to the Sally House," and
Hi, Joe. Welcome.
I thought of that title like while I was there. Like it wasn't even like a title. It was just I kept saying like we're never coming back here. And that video didn't release till like 2.5 months after I went there because I was filming a little series. And so yeah, well when we went there, I was like super excited. When I walked in the door, it was like a very surreal moment. Did I ever hear or see anything related to Native American? I don't know. I mean, I've been to places that have claimed that and that were in the area of like Native American tribes and stuff. So I guess I could say I've been to places that have claimed that, but I've never like seen a Native American spirit with my own eyes or heard like a you know Native American call or anything with my own ears. So I guess no, if that's what you mean. So with the Sally house, yeah, there's a lot that happened that is just very personal that I don't really like to bring up. But when I walked in, I was like excited. I was like, it was like walking into, it was almost like meeting somebody that you've always wanted to meet. It was, it was like you went into a famous place. It was like really cool. I was excited, and it was like 4:30 something like that. We had just gotten there. I'm unpacking my bag, and then I'm just standing there, and my friend's reading this the journal, and yeah, I just get burned on my stomach, and I
Oh,
was like, "What? Like no way!" So I told my friend grab the camera because we weren't filming. We were just sitting there. It was 4:30, and yeah, you could see it. That happened 3 times that night. A lot of like mental manipulation, a lot of psychological, feeling sick. The part that I don't really like to talk about too much is it was pretending to be somebody that I knew wasn't there, that had just
okay.
passed away a few days before I went there. Um, and so it was fucked up.
Yeah,
So,
I
no,
get that.
Jeff, I would not go if you guys held my hand. It's not about that. It's not necessarily that, like, oh, I'm so scared, but I just know that I can't go back there. It's like like, we went by it, and I didn't even know, like, where we were. And we're going down this hill, and I look at Colt from Nightmare Nation. I said, oh shit, like, we're about to be at the Sally house. And it was like dark out. We're in the back of this third row. We're in the third row of this van. Like we can't see shit. I didn't know where we were. And then all of a sudden we hear, oh, and right here is the Sally house. And Colt was
Oh,
like, and I was like, yeah, like I could feel, I'm literally getting
you
like
could
goosebumps
feel it.
right now.
Oh, okay, so yeah. Well, I don't blame you if it's that.
I could feel that we were about to be there. And I didn't even go on the property. I stayed across the street, waited for everybody to get done, and then we left. And I was like, that just like it double did it for me. Like when I
Right.
knew we were getting there, I felt it, and I didn't go on the property. Like I was like, nope.
So yeah, it pretty much affected you from a distance. So that yeah, why would you go back in?
Yeah.
course, I mean, I guess it depends on who you are. Now, when your friends went in there, did they have any kind of experience like you
So,
did?
so they didn't go in. They it was this little like tour thing, and they just like went in the yard and like talked or whatever, and they didn't like feel or anything like that, but like I could feel it the whole time. Like it was almost as if like I
It was
know it
attached
sounds
to you,
yeah, it was almost like as soon as I knew we were close, like something just like went around me. Like I
right?
felt it. And I was like, okay, like we're here.
Good enough.
And
Let's get the hell out.
yeah, but yeah, so I'll never go back there.
So well, I appreciate you sharing it because I know if it's that sensitive, I don't blame you. You don't want to talk about it. But we just wanted, like, because a lot of people don't have the general idea of what happened to you and why, you pretty much said, no, I'm not doing that. So at least somebody's got a general idea of why.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say, which is pretty crazy, I haven't seen the footage, but my friends Nightmare Nation, they went there just last week, or not last week, Saturday, and um, they're live streaming, and I'm watching, and they won't like quit bringing me up. Like they keep bringing me up, and I'm like, no, like, can you guys please stop? Like I know that it's funny and everybody's joking around,
Yes,
but
I was watching that. Yes.
please stop. And then nothing was happening, and I got curious, and I was like, hey, send me the link, let me ask a question, let me see if, mainly the reason why I wanted to see was right now, like my voice is my voice, but everybody else hears it right now, it's electronic. I was curious if like the spirits could hear the electronic voice coming out of the phone or whatever. So I asked, hey, Tyler, send me a link. Let me ask a question. And apparently, as soon as I asked that, they heard a disembodied voice say no. And they were filming, obviously, on live stream and on a cell phone. So I don't know if they caught that or not. And so they sent me a link, and I hopped on, and I asked a very direct question. I said, hey, Sally, like, do you remember me? Do you think you could go to that basement door right there and knock one time if you like remember me or something? And everybody heard it. Side guy heard it. Everything. There was one knock on the basement door, like immediately. And I was like, okay, I asked a couple more questions, and then I was like, I'm done,
Yeah.
because it was like she remembered me. Not she. She's not a real person. Sally isn't a real. Oh no, Sally isn't a real thing, but whatever it is, like
It's
remembered
gotta
me.
gotta be those solar flare things there. We're blacking out. There, we're back to normal.
Yeah,
So it's got to be those solar eruptions because I mean, I can't get any closer to the the router. I had it
yeah,
stuck up my ass.
yeah.
In there. Okay, we got Jeff's ask you in all seriousness, because he had a place like that and said he'd never go back. But he ended up going back eventually. Do you think maybe 20 years from now you might?
I don't know. Like people have tried to bring it up a few times, but like I don't know. I've kind of said that maybe if I ever hit like 100,000 subscribers and everybody's asking me to go back, like maybe I'd go back. But other than that, no, I don't have any interest. It was pretty fucked up. So it's one of those places that's like, cool, I did it. That's enough. People are tired of seeing Sally House stuff, anyways.
There you yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, I am going on a trip with Joe and Dawn. And then Cemetery Road is also going to be there, I think. I don't know if that's public, so sorry, Joe, if I just spoiled it. But yeah, we're going to the Hill House for a few days and investigating there. It's going to be pretty cool. We're gonna see if anything. They claim a lot of crazy stuff happens there, and I'm very
Right.
interested. There's some things that I've seen that I really do believe probably did happen. There's also a lot of things there that I'm like, whatever. But if it's true, what they got going on there, it could be a pretty crazy. If it's true, like how much stuff happens there, like it might actually be like the most haunted house in the world. Like people getting attacked every night, people, the loud bangs all the time, the possessions, the uh, you know, being pulled off a bed, stuff like that. Like
Right.
it might genuinely, like if all that stuff happened to be real, which I'm sure not all of it is, that probably would be like the most haunted house in the world,
And
seriously.
totally mind-blowing as well, especially if you guys experience it and catch it all on film. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I keep getting a little like vision thing. I know it sounds stupid, but that happens sometimes when I go to places, and I keep getting this like vision thing every day. The same thing keeps happening, that it pops up, and I'm like, shit. And I told Joe about it, and he said, "Can you email it to yourself so that we have like a timestamp, so that we
Right.
know like that I can't be like make it up in the moment or something. Be like, that's what
Right.
it was." Like I
Yeah, no, keep record of it, because it's a premonition thing. A lot of people have that. Um, I have that all the time as well. Usually, if I dream about a person and it's the same dream and it's the same person 3 times in a row, I will see that person no matter how long it's been, 10, 15, 20 years. I'll run into that person. So it's just letting me know ahead of time that I'm gonna see that person or this event is gonna happen. I've had that since I was a child.
Yeah, so and with Joe Vitale, his channel is literally called Entity 7 Paranormal. And since he said it in the comments, I figured I'm allowed to say it, but there's an entity there that when he did research on it, it turns out it is the same entity that calls itself Seven,
7, right.
which, kind of follows Joe around a little bit.
Yeah, it likes Joe.
Yeah. So if that's true, it'd be pretty interesting. So Joe called me up one night and said, "Hey, do you have any religious relics and all this and that?" And I was like, "I could wear a cross necklace if it makes you feel better and stuff. I'll take it seriously for sure."
Well, yeah, you gotta have the faith. If you don't believe in that specific item as a form of protection, then it's just not gonna happen for you.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. But I think if it makes everybody feel better,
Right.
I'm sure if it came down to one of those moments where I'm holding on to it and stuff.
Holding on to the cross or just carry like a blessed rosary beads in your pocket, something. I mean, if it's something that you actually have some sort of a belief in, then you've got, a bit of protection with you. But if there's no belief, then well, but if it makes you feel better, hey, go for it, right?
Right.
That's usually the way it is. What is Joe saying here? Oh, if he's really at the house, I've got some words for him. Let's see what happens. I'm
Damn it,
telling you,
Joe. Joe's gonna be like
yeah,
screaming at this
that's I
thing,
can't
"You
wait to see
motherfucker," and
that.
I'm gonna get thrown into a wall or something.
Yeah, he's gonna take it out on you.
Yeah.
Let's go after the young guy.
Yeah. It's like my sister's cat. My sister has a cat, and if you piss it off, it won't attack you, but it'll go up to my niece because my niece and the cat are like the closest. It's her cat. It'll just go up to her and like take it out on her.
Slap
So
her
it
around, right?
yeah, it's like one of those things. Joe's gonna piss it off, and then
As
I'm gonna
as
get
long as we
thrown into
get
a
it on
wall.
film.
Yeah, yeah.
We love your
Actually, no, I'm cool
dedication,
with it.
Joe.
In the moment, I'm gonna be like, "Fuck you, Joe," but
Yeah.
afterwards, when if we get it on film, I'll be like,
No sacrifice is too great, even if it's Dawson.
"Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah."
goodness.
Then I plan on because I'm already gonna be there, and it's like 45 minutes away from Goatman's Bridge. I plan on going there to film a solo video, which it's gonna be like a Saturday.
Right.
Excuse me. So in the summer. So I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of teenagers and stuff. So it might be one of those things where I got to sit around until 3 in the morning until I can finally go get my chance at it alone so I can film.
So, yeah, that'll be great too. Squeeze in what you can,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna be there, you might as well get it going.
Yeah. Because I'd hate to. not do it and then go all the way back home, which is like over 10 hours away, and then one day be like, oh, I really want to go to Goatman's Bridge. And it's like, well, you could have done it. Was 45 minutes away. You could have done it, you know?
Right. Faith wants to know if you're going to do it live.
Goatman's Bridge, I don't think so. Um, because really, what what's going to happen is it's going to be cutting it close for my video release schedule because I do not have any more videos right now. Um, and I upload every other week. So whenever I do this video, I literally have to like try to film it, edit it, and get it out as soon as possible. So
Yeah,
I don't,
tight schedule.
yeah. So I gotta try to just keep the noise out at a minimal, go film, see what happens, and release it, and we'll see what
Right.
happens.
Well, that's
If I have
great.
any space left after being at the Hill House for 3 days, I might not have any space left on my SD cards.
So, well, you better just load up because you never know what you're going to need.
Yeah.
I've found that now using all of this video stuff that the extra batteries, and the extra SD, the cards, and the just everything. Oh, you have to bring extra of everything. Um,
Yeah, I'm interested because I got this tattoo. It's actually a cover up. It covered something up, and I thought it was a cool looking cross. I'm not a religious person myself. I was kind of curious, like man, how cool would it be if it pissed it off and I just have a cross on my body and it like I don't know tries to like rip it off, scratch it or something. I don't know, something crazy.
Hell, you never know. That's the thing. But yeah, let's see what everybody's got going on here. Each Mike says each situation presents something different. That's totally true. You never know what you're going to be running into, even though it's the same, sites. You've been there hundreds of times. Something different could happen at any time or moment. Actually, Joe, if you want to join us, to join in with the conversation, just let me know. Let's see. Steph says
I
use for
do.
protection. Use protection spray, protective crystals. If you believe in it, Dawson.
I do wear crystals. Half the time, honestly, I'm an idiot and I forget them. And I'll be like halfway to my destination. I'll be like, crap. And I'll realize I left them at home because I'll like let them soak in the sun and in the moon and do all that stuff that everybody says like helps. And I do like, there's one of them that I wear that if I take it out of the thing and I hold it with my bare hand, I genuinely like feel something with it. So I do like kind of believe in it.
So yeah,
Um, and I have
helps you
sage.
out, then do it.
Yeah, I have sage, and I sage after every investigation now because of some of my experiences, and I'm like, okay, and it's all about intention. Some people are like, sage is, bullshit or whatever, and it might be, but I think the intention of, you know, don't come with
Right.
cleansing myself, whatever. I think the intention is what's important. Makes me feel a little better.
Sure it does. And actually, no, I believe it does work as well. I've done a lot of house cleansings, and you do feel a difference from one rest and then after the cleansing. It's definitely a more airier, lighter. It does. It feels light and new. So
Is sage a
maybe you have to.
relaxing? Is
It's
the
well,
actual
it's
leaf? Is it supposed to be? Is that like because
be calming and um uh, I believe the ritual started with sages just as from the Native Americans. They're the ones that basically would do this during ceremonies, and then other people have taken it on, like through the Wiccan religion and all of that. But I do that as well. Like I said, when I do a house cleansing or blessing, because I've had to bless a lot of homes. I do the cleansing first, and then I do the blessing, and it seems to work well. And then
yeah,
actually, when we come back from investigations, yes, you sage. You have to have some kind of protection plan, because I've got relatives who are paranormal investigators, and when they became laxed on doing these things, they brought stuff home with them that was very, malicious towards everybody in the family. And to believe it or not, the only way that they could get, I mean, like pulling their children out of bed, those kinds of things. Playing on everybody's emotions. Everybody was depressed. Things were going wrong. And pretty much the one thing that made it all stop, because it went on for a couple of years, and he got to the point where he's destitute. What am I going to do? And he's not a very religious person either. And what happened was he went and got baptized. Something told him to go get baptized. So whether it was, the Holy Spirit speaking to him, God, whatever you want to call it, he went to the church down the street, they baptized him, and it all stopped.
Interesting.
He doesn't do any more investigations anymore.
Yeah.
But he's very knowledgeable about it. But he says, yes, once he was baptized, the house was cleaned. It was done. It was something that was attached to him, apparently.
Yeah, I have a feeling, I've heard this saying before that like sometimes your house isn't haunted, you're haunted, and it sounds silly, but there's some places you go there, and when there's certain people there, more will happen. And it's one of the the Monroe house. Joe knows a lot about this. Whenever the one of the owners was there, he was giving us a tour. When he was there, that's when we got like the most of our stuff. And I think it either doesn't like him or it likes to hang out with him, and that's why so much had happened. And that's when the wardrobe slammed behind us. And um, yeah, I believe in the whole haunted people thing,
Right,
for
right.
sure.
Now, see, like Jeff's saying, it clears the energy. That's what we're saying. Ed. You're clearing the energy. You're making yourself clean. Not referring to the ghost. But as far as leaving an area or after an investigation, I think it's a good idea to cleanse, yourself with that. And it helps with, like I said, bringing something home. Joe said it was actually originally used as herbs, and used as air purifiers. Native Americans actually use it to purify their living spaces. Yes. So yeah, that's the reason I do that. I clean. You're cleaning the energy in the home, and then I would do blessing of the house when I do it. And it seems to make people at ease. It seems to to work for them. So to have some kind of safeguards in place before and after the fact of an investigation, I think is, even if it's just even you're splashing yourself with a little holy water.
Yeah, I had this a witch make me this Ouija board,
Oh,
and
look at that.
I don't believe in Ouija boards. I think it's all people. Obviously, it's like anything. Of course, like if a spirit can move a ball, it can probably move a planchette, right? But
Right.
whenever she made it for me, what she included with it was a little note and some sage. It's a different kind of sage than what I use. I don't know the difference really. Maybe I should, but and it said sage before use. And I was like, this is weird. Like, wouldn't I not want to do that? And but I did it. I followed the rules. Nothing happened. I didn't
Right.
expect anything to happen with the Ouija board, but it was still a cool thing. It's a cool thing to have.
Right.
But people do it differently. It's some people do it before, some people do it after, some people do both. It's just intention sort of thing.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And how you feel it. Like Mike saying, dragon's blood sage. If you're not American, Native American, at least from my experience and understanding. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's so much to look up, so many rules to follow. Um, and it's whatever you do, whatever is going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I believe that for sure.
and
I
it's
mean,
you're gonna find good results.
if it makes you feel better to literally burn hay and walk through it after, do it. That's probably not in any book or any religion or any practice, but if it makes you feel better, go ahead, do it,
Right,
Just burn
exactly.
some hay and walk through it. It
Yeah. Roll it
doesn't
up and
matter
set
what
it
it
on
is.
fire.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, do
I
it,
wouldn't recommend smoking hay, but I mean, hey, to each his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to had a friend that did that when we were younger. Oak leaves,
Oak
dried
leaves.
oak leaf. He smoked that thing and it didn't do anything. He goes, nope. I said, okay.
Isn't that like poisonous?
I don't know. He was fine. I don't know. So,
Or
it didn't kill him, so he's still living. So
yeah, right, yeah. Yeah,
he's
no,
fine.
I've accidentally breathed in sage a couple times when I was uh, doing it to my friends or
Right.
myself. I breathed it in a couple. It's harsh. I've breathed it in on accident. I'm like,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
it's pretty rough.
You gotta make sure you're not sucking it in at full force.
Yeah,
Pretty
try to
rough.
breathe through the corner of your mouth whenever you're doing
Kind of like
it.
getting
Stand
kicked by
back.
a mule.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you, not going bananas. I deserve more subs. I was just giddy as pig in shit that I reached 100. That was my goal. Woohoo! I did it the other day, and I said, that's all I could wish for. But I appreciate all of you guys
I
because
think you
this
were
is.
at 101 when we started
Oh,
this.
am I? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you were.
So yeah, it was it's fun for me, and I don't expect much, so I don't have a big letdown. But everybody seems to be getting a kick out of what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna keep cruising with it, and we'll see where we end up. That's
Yeah,
all we can
exactly.
do.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, even if there's one person watching, that's one person,
right.
that enjoys
No.
your stuff, likes watching you, likes, all your stuff. It's pretty cool.
Stay tuned says it's possible to create. Let's enlarge that because I'm half blind. Is it possible to create your own poltergeist? It's lack of energy control.
He's saying it is, and I do kind of believe in the intentional haunting sort of thing. I do believe in egregores. I do think that and the Sally House may be a candidate for that, but I don't believe in that. I think that it's a malevolent thing. But an egregore, I mean, I'm sure you know, but maybe there's some people that don't. It's basically, to just dumb it down, it's like a story. You just tell the same story over and over, and there's hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever people that believe it and just think that that's what's there, and you kind of create that in a way.
Right.
I really do believe in that. It's a different side of the paranormal than a lot of people like to bring up, but I
It's
do
because we're
believe
all.
in.
I think we're all centered on just a certain.
Uh oh, dang solar flares, guys. She'll be back in a minute. I've heard of that. It's also possible to be born gifted and your entire life things find you. You're back.
Yes, we're internet. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. I always try to filter myself because I can have a tendency to have a potty mouth at times. Um, yeah, uh, yeah. You know what? Yes, I do believe people are gifted because not for nothing. Ever since I was a child, I've always had you want to call it empathic sensibilities. I feel things that a lot of other people don't. Now, like you, when you went past to the Saley house, you felt it before you even got there.
Yeah, I didn't
So
even
that
know
is
that we were going there either. Like I
right, right,
genuinely did not know. Yes, I've been there, but when I went, we came a completely different way than where we went. We didn't go down this hill or anything to get there. I had no idea where we were. We weren't told. And um
hi,
I
Crow.
believe Crow. I was just talking to Crow earlier. So I believe that I'm empathic or
Yes,
whatever, but in my personal opinion, I think that's really as far as it goes. I don't believe in mediums, psychic mediums. I
right.
am willing to get my mind changed, but at the moment, I don't. I think it's kind of the same thing with like ghost hunting. There's a lot of people that will never believe in ghosts and ghost hunting because there's so much bullshit. So many people just
Yes, it's
bullshit and
crooked.
everything.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Hi, Bill.
And
Welcome. No, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a lot of bullshit. And they play on people really bad. But as far as like the impact, I think we all have some sort of empathic ability. Everybody does, whether you even know about it or think about it. Because, like you said, like we could drive past houses or whatever, and something comes over me, and I feel something off of the building. Um, so I mean, it's always been that way, and it's just something that's normal for me. but I believe that everybody has some form of it. Whether you're feeling the emotions off of other people, animals, buildings, whatever, that's what it is that you're absorbing that emotion uh, at that time and place. And if it goes any further than that, then that's really special.
Yeah, that's kind of like I've always thought that way before the ghost hunting stuff. Like I was always really good like it I could always like feel people. Like I knew what they were feeling. I knew like it was
Right.
I know it sounds stupid, but it was almost like, they walk in a room, I kind of know what's on their mind a little bit. I'm
Right.
like,
That's
"Oh,
that's
they're
empathic.
yeah, they're pretending like they're
So
actually sad right now, and then, it kind of like makes you change the way you kind of judge somebody like when they
right.
walk in or the way you talk to them or
And it could be
whatever.
very overwhelming as well,
Yeah.
because then it's too much for you because you absorb it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
whenever I go to haunted places, I tell people all the time, and like, for some people they go into somewhere and they like feel it and they're like, "Do you feel that?" It's like, yeah, every place I go to that I've had an experience at, it's like it's like hard to get through, and that's why sometimes in my videos I'm very like and I'm like very spacey because it's like I literally feel like pressure, like there's so much coming at me at once and I got to try to like talk through it and stuff.
right.
And
Actually, the best thing to do is to leave the room for a while,
yeah.
kind of center yourself, and then go back in because it does become overwhelming. Let's see, earthing. Oh, here we go. What is this? Earthing is a thing that has research that says it helps. So energy thing isn't too far of realm. I believe. Are you talking about like where you're standing like outside barefooted,
That I think that's called grounding, but
grounding?
yeah, but I don't know if it's the same thing and just a different word. I'm not
Right.
sure.
That's what I was wondering because yeah, I always do that. I'm
But I have heard that. I've heard people say, try to spend at least like 10 minutes outside barefoot in the dirt,
right,
you know?
Joe. They have cream for that, honey. And I think you better let Dawn know about it. She might
Yeah,
be a little upset.
I'm super excited to investigate with Joe and Dawn. I investigated with them together at the Bel Air house with Kenny and Side Eye Guy and Paranormal Seekers Josh. And was there anybody else?
That was one of my questions. What was it like to investigate with all of the famous heavy hitters?
Um,
The
so
famous Joe Vitale.
yeah, Joe fucking Vitale.
Yeah.
But so when we went to Brushy, that was really cool because I was with Nightmare Nation, who I'm very comfortable with when we film. Like like when we first met each other, like it was very like instant. It was like we knew that we were gonna be friends and everything. And so it was easier to be comfortable around Joe and Side Eye Guy when we first met up with them, and it also helped that with Side Eye Guy we were in the car for an hour and a half before we got there, just me and him just talking. And when I met Joe for the first time, he came to the Airbnb we were staying at, and it was just like we are meeting up with a friend that we had talked to many
Right.
times before. And really, I talked to Joe like 3 times, if that, before
So he's very
we met
laid
up with him.
back.
Yeah, it was super cool investigating with him at Brushy, especially because there was some really interesting things that did happen. And while it was a very quiet night and there wasn't anything that was just like concrete, it was still there was a lot of interesting stuff. We all kind of every single person there kind of had a thing that like they had to think about. And but at the Belair house, that's where I met Kenny Biddle. And that's where I met Dawn and Paranormal Seekers Josh. I had obviously already met Joe, but Joe had like food poisoning or the flu or something. He slept half the time, but meeting them was pretty cool because there was a lot of like respectful headbutting. There was like I'd say something and Kenny would completely disagree, or I'd say something Side Guy would disagree, or Joe and everybody, and it was just but it was always respectful. We're all
Right.
respectful to each other. But it was interesting because there was like so much headbutting, and but we didn't have anything happen there. I mean, there's something that I think is kind of funny is, they always say house settling and the boards expanding, making noises. We didn't even
Right.
hear anything like that. We didn't hear a single noise. The house was actually like silent the
Very
entire time.
quiet,
There was
right?
not a single noise, no settling, no
We think
not
after a
even.
few hundred years, it's already settled.
Well, so actually after 2 years, a house is no longer settling.
Right,
So after 2 years, a house shouldn't make noise unless you have electricity and plumbing, and then it's going to make some noise.
right.
Um, but if it doesn't have any electricity, any plumbing, um, technically, and it's built, 100 years ago, technically, unless you cause that noise to happen by like walking past a board and it kind of like goes back to form,
Right,
houses shouldn't make any noise. So yeah, we didn't have any devices go off. We didn't set up any cat balls, but there was some cat balls that were set up all over. They never went off. Um, it was just one of those things where I didn't feel anything, nobody felt anything, we didn't have anything happen, and some people would disagree, but to me it validated the equipment even more.
right.
Because why didn't the REM pod go off if it just, especially in a house with electricity, with the heat going, with the basement door open,
You
coming
think it would
right up,
yeah, you think it would pick up something.
nothing.
No.
No, the music box went off one time, but it did a very specific thing where I was like, there's dust on the front of it because it was sitting in a pathway where there was a lot of airflow, and dust just kind of built up. And once it built up over time, it just in front of the sensor was nonstop going off. We blew it off,
Right,
never went off again. So that's it validated the equipment a little bit more for me because
right.
it shouldn't have went off and nothing went off. So that was pretty cool to me.
So well, yeah, because then it's proving something that, you're trying to figure out.
Yeah. And I
Yes,
know it doesn't always work, but the
right,
thing is it didn't not none of it ever went off,
right.
which is like you would think it would, even if nothing was there, if they were just completely unreliable. Now I know that sometimes they're unreliable, but I mean there's a highway there, nearby, very close. There's truckers, maybe using CB radios that can make like REM pods go off and stuff.
Right.
Never had any of that happen. Um, it was storming the day before or whatever. So, you know, electricity in the air from like the lightning and everything, nothing happened. So it
Well,
kind of validated it a little
yeah,
bit for me.
actually, that's pretty good because usually those things will pick up any kind of outside electrical, energy coming around. That's why I like it when Joe does his he uses the Faraday bags. 'Cause and he's the only one I've ever seen use them, which I think is fantastic.
We did it first, by the way,
Oh,
Joe.
did
Sorry,
you?
Joe. Way to
Oh, did
rain
you?
on,
Because I didn't see
not to
that one
rain on
because
your parade.
I kept
So
saying, "Why
we
isn't anybody using these
he
things to
he
cut out the outside source?"
he might have done it before we did it, but um he re started doing it if he did it before, when we went to Velisca and we put him in there, the spirit box and stuff. But my thing is with those is it's yeah, Kenny did it first, but my thing is with those is it's the same thing with like the spirit box. People are like, well, you want to cut out the outside noise. Well, if these entities really are made of energy and you're putting it in a bag that energy goes around, the waves and everything, how do we know that they can even get through there? So, of course you're trying and that's great, but to me it doesn't do anything for me. I'm just sitting there like, I don't know. Like, what if they can't get through it? We just don't know.
Right?
So
It's
I
it's a
like
good
to
way to
kind of
think of
just,
it, yeah.
yeah, I like to kind of do it the way that I always do it. And if it turns out that half of it or 90% of it or even 100% of it was just radio stations or something, then that's kind of what you figure out, after the
Right.
fact. You review the footage and all that. You're not in the moment, kind of reaching, kind of poking, prodding in the moment.
Right.
So I think it's cool, interesting. I just don't know if spirit can get through it or not.
That's what. Oh, that's a good thing to think about. Can it get through? Yeah, and I have to agree with you guys. Yes, the houses still do make noises. My house is 100 years old, and it does shift as the weather changes. We'll have a shift, and you always tell because some of the doors won't close, and then when spring comes, the house shifts back, and then everything closes the right way. So it's weird, but it does it.
Right.
Well, it's
And
the
your house,
rise and the ground rising and then settle around doing it like its movement than the house.
yeah, so but your house also has heat and or electricity and plumbing though, which also
Right.
is a factor. You know, you're heating the house, it's colder outside, you're cooling the house, it's hotter outside. It shouldn't if there if it's ambient and there's no electricity, no plumbing, technically there shouldn't be any noises. Now there's always going to be, you know, what if there's a mouse in the house, a raccoon under the house, but realistically, like you hear a giant bang and there's no plumbing, no electricity.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah, there shouldn't it should not happen. I'm not saying it has
Right.
to be a ghost, but that should not happen according to the way they build houses.
Right. Let's see. Joe says people spent years doing the same old thing with spirit boxes. It's time to try something new with the spirit box. I
Yeah,
agree. I think
I
it's
think
because
it's cool.
yeah. Well, even like what Joe said, because we used to do it just an old AM radio. The total strict white noise deal. I don't know. It's all these things that they have out, and that's the thing. The kick in the pants. Is it real or is it pre-programmed to present itself as something real?
The
Like I said,
what?
everybody uses people use their phones and they have those apps and and the random word crap. And it's just if I look at it this way, if it's really spirit, it's gonna say something more than, uh demon. It's always demon. It's always demon. I call this the year of the demon.
Yeah, I put a hot dog on the antenna.
Uh,
Um, I hate the
Bro.
apps. I can't stand them.
Yeah,
I gave one a chance one time. I never released the video. I tried it out. We timed it. Joe did a really good breakdown on the Spirit Talker, and I don't really want to get into them too much, but that's the one that I tried. It was on a rotating timer. There was a certain amount of time stamps, and it would just flip through them. And sometimes it would do the it was just bullshit. And every like third word was a new name.
right.
Every like fifth word was a new decade. It was just baloney. And because the reason why I tried it was because I genuinely want to try everything. I don't care what somebody says about how
Right.
much it doesn't work. I've heard people
Exactly.
say spirit boxes and Estes method doesn't work. I've
You
had
wanna
it
do the
work.
experiment yourself.
Yeah. So I tried it and it didn't work. I was like, if this is real, I'm missing out because this is a really easy way for spirits to communicate. And I wasn't naive enough to be like, hey, I'm going to try this out. It probably works. I was curious and it didn't. So I didn't do it. Like the SLS, I don't care how many times somebody says it's bullshit. I would love to try it out. I really would.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a ghost, but I would love to try it.
Yeah, I had something similar, because I'm not a big fan of the apps as well, and I discussed this with Joe and Crow. Ghost Tube. I was going to an investigation. I said, "Okay, I'm going to download this app as I'm driving there." And I got there, and everything was shut down on the phone. Just I turned the app on as I sat down at the table, and I placed the phone on the table, and one name come up, Charlie. I'm like, "Oh, okay," and I shut it off. Then the woman come back in the house, and I said, "Who is Charlie?" Months ago, you're sitting in his chair. So I said, okay, so that's the thing is why all of a sudden this app pick out that one name that was never spoken while this thing was running? Where did that name come from? And actually, I forgot who recommended it. Was I think it was Crow said what I need to do. I'm going to go back again. Actually, next week I'll be up that way, and I'm going to try that experiment again to see if it comes up with just Charlie. And if it does, then I've got something's got to be going on there.
Yeah. So I don't usually just like kick people for using apps. I think kind of for the most part, as long as you're not intentionally like faking something, I don't care what people use or do really. I think the apps are all just, money making. I think really the only app that could possibly work is just the voice memos on your phone, as like an EVP. But I mean, I've seen some things from some people that appear to be trustworthy that makes me go, huh, that's a little weird. I mean, it's possible that once in a blue moon,
Right.
a spirit might be able to manipulate it. It's possible. So I'm not, you know, a dick about it and just tell people,
Right.
no, no, it
Yeah.
can't. It can't. Unless,
No, I
unless
agree.
it can't. Unless it can't, because there is some apps that I believe certain people have like looked into, and like you can add in words, you can create a whole narrative on it. You can it they went through the sensors. It doesn't use any sensor, so how's it talking to a goat? It's not. It's just picking a word, spitting it out. Those are the ones that are just. But the ones
Right.
that may or may not actually use sensors, yeah, sure, most of it's probably nothing, but who knows? They
You
might be
never know.
able
That
to.
could be that one. Yeah, that one time. We never know. I want to catch up here. Say hi, Foxfire. Who else did we miss? Sky Talker.
Hi,
Uh,
Sky.
we always said hello to Crow. It's- and I'm glad you guys all could make it. Let's see the next one on our list. Of course, we went over the heavy hitters. Um, as far as and you said you always like to try to use the equipment just to test it out. Um, but
Yeah.
basically, what is your favorite thing to use during an investigation? Do you have a favorite thing, or you just put it all out there and see what happens?
I mean, I guess technically my favorite thing is like my gut feeling, but my favorite
Beautiful.
device really, it really is the REM pod. I have had a lot happen with the REM pod that cannot be like explained. It's intelligent. And the good thing about the REM pod, although some people may disagree, I do not think it's complete bullshit. It's a very, I think it's easy for them to do, and it's an easy way to get yes or no. It's an easy way to have intelligent communication because you can be like, hey, could you touch that right now if blah blah blah, and they do it, and it's like, okay, cool, let's just make sure, if that's what you were trying to say, can you touch it right now, and it seems like it's an easy one for them to do. It's But my REM pod broke, so I
Oh
can't. Yeah, so I
no.
can't. I broke the little. There's this little tiny like black sensor, I think,
Uh-huh.
right by the antenna. Because I don't have like a homemade one. Well, I guess they all kind of are, but I have the one that like you can get from like Ghost Stop and stuff. The one that's red and black that actually says like REM pod on it. Um, the like manufactured one, and there's this little black sensor thing that I think it happened when I went to do my 3-day alone stay. And I think either when I took it out of my bag or I put it into my bag, I bent that little sensor. And ever since, when I turn it on,
There you
it
go
might.
again. There you go.
What?
Internet doing its thing. If we
Oh,
blanked out for a second, we're back. I don't know. It's like I said, it's got to be those solar flare ups because I've done everything to fix it. It just ain't working.
yeah, I think it probably is. And yeah,
Oh,
it broke. So after like 5 seconds or something, it'll just start like. I think what you're talking about are not sensors. I think those are the. No, it's not the reset buttons. It's on the complete other side, right by the antenna. It's this little black sensor, and I know it's like some sort of sensor because after it broke, I kind of wiggled it and played with it, and it went like crazy whenever I was doing that. So something like that got disconnected from like the motherboard or whatever. Um, and
YouTube video.
yeah,
Look it up how to fix it.
is it the temperature sensor? It might be, yeah. I thought the temperature sensor just was kind of ambient with the antenna, but that makes sense. Yeah, it's broke, and so eventually, whenever, yeah, Joe, eventually, whenever I get the funds up, I am going to get another one because it really is like my favorite. I it's something about it.
Yeah. Oh, hey, if it's your favorite, that's great. Yeah, I've watched people use them. I don't have all that fancy stuff. I'm still just bare bones. So it's same thing with like, the editing and stuff. You guys all do a great job. I blow at it. So that's why you're gonna get it raw, guys. I like it raw. I'm gonna serve it to you raw. And you guys can go from there. Eventually I'll get a video out. Every time I try to do certain locations, something happens and I get screwed. So I'm
I'll bring it
proud.
with me, Joe, and maybe you can show me, but we'll have to take anything we get on my REM pod with a grain of salt if we do turn it off. Because if it doesn't work, well, no, well, because it doesn't make the temperature go off. It makes the actual the green light go like just go off really hard. So I'm not sure. But I'll bring it, and if you want to take a look at it for me, Joe, I'd really appreciate it. If we can fix it, that'd be great.
Yeah, they're expensive. So it's when something's broke, that's why I'm saying you got to do the YouTube video to figure out how to fix that.
Nat, I really appreciate that, but I don't know if I can just feel good about that, like a pride thing. Um, good, 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 good. That's what I'm talking about, Joe. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. So
Uh,
carbs, and I think it was carbs and coffee. Whatever it was. Sorry, I can only see part of it. They said proximity sensor, and that sounds right to me. Um, because whenever I touch it, that's when like all the lights will light up as if like that might be right. Um, because the temperature sensor, I believe, is like embedded. There's a little like you would need like a needle to mess with it. So I think it is that proximity sensor actually.
if you guys ever get a chance to check out Bill on Carbs and Coffee, a great channel. He does auto and any kind of repair. Great videos. I have a good time watching him. So if you get a chance to check him out, that'd be great. Uh, let's see what else everybody's got going on here. Oh, he says that drones use that technology.
You want to fix it for me? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna send it to you, Bill. You ready?
Yeah, it'd
Get him
be
up in a
cheaper than buying.
message.
Be cheaper than buying a new one. They're like
Oh yeah, it would
180 bucks,
be.
I think. Like you can get the cheaper homemade ones or whatever. There's something about that though. Can he repair Dawson's ramp? But yeah, I mean, if he can, that'd be cool. But
Uh, oh, he said he could. So you
oh,
guys
okay.
gotta hook up together so you can figure out how to take care of that for him. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram and TikTok and everything is just at Dawson Toller on everything. So if you want to send me a message, we can work that out. Because
Oh, that'd be great, Bill.
I probably will take it to the Hill House though, just to have Joe look at it or whatever. But once I get back, we can definitely do something.
Oh, that'd be great. What is this? Crow, there's a grandma McFlurry or something. A grandma McFlurry. Oh my god. Okay. You guys are killing me.
Tyler and Crow are like obsessed with talking about McDonald's. It's so funny.
Actually, I set up something with Tyler for I think it's the first week in June. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be a good time.
Awesome.
'Cause,
Yeah, Tyler's great. Is it going to be Tyler, or is Tyler going to include? Is Tyler going to have Colt
he
come to
didn't
his house
say.
and
He
join
didn't
in
say.
on that?
More
That might be
the
cool.
merrier. Get them all on there. You guys, we can all just, I like it when there is a bunch because then you get everybody's perspective on what's going on.
Yeah, and I do have a very specific perspective, and I understand that, and some people aren't necessarily on board. But it's worth mentioning that when I first started doing this, I didn't necessarily believe in ghosts. I
There
mean,
you
like I
go.
said, when my grandpa slapped my shoulder, I didn't think of it as a ghost. And I over time, I didn't believe in haunted objects. I do now. Like I said, I do not believe in mediums. I don't think it's. I think everybody can kind of have a moment, but I don't think people can necessarily channel it. But I am willing to be proven wrong. If there's anybody that says they're a medium, I would like to give it a shot. But you would have to be willing to get ridiculed. I'm not a dick, so I'm not just going to be like, fuck you, but
Right,
if
right.
anybody says they're a medium, I'd be willing to give you a shot.
Okay. And balls, Tyler, and balls.
Yeah, Tyler loves cat balls. There's a whole song about it.
Oh my god. I have those stupid things. The one I have, you pretty gotta beat the crap out of it with a hammer for it to go off. So I don't know.
That's a good one though.
I don't
That's
know
a
how
good
it's gonna work, you know? I
that
might just bring it with me when I do my thing, next week, just for the hell of it to see. Like I said, because you pretty much have to smack it around really hard. And so, maybe it'll work, I don't know.
so some people disagree. I think there are different kinds of cat balls, but some people disagree and they say if you set it up, it'll just go off randomly. That may be the case if it's like running out of battery, but I personally have opened a cat ball out of a package, set it down for 8 hours, and sat in my living room, and it didn't go off once. So I'm not
Right,
saying that it can't. I'm not saying that it's a ghost. I'm not saying it's always a ghost,
right,
but I set it there for 8 hours because I'm like, do they just randomly go off? Is it just coincidence? There's been a lot of times where I'm like, touch that cat ball and it touches that cat ball, you know?
right,
Coincidence, maybe, but I think those are probably like the weakest link of the ghost hunting equipment.
right,
But I
right.
do I like to use them. I think that it's possible.
Oh, Bill is what is it? It's just cat toys. That's it's how do you
I'll
want to
go
call
get
it?
one.
Yeah, he's gonna get one for you. They're touch sensitive. The cat smacks it around and it goes sparkly lights. Um, and I bought some for my cat. I had one that was kind of sensitive, but this other one I've got, I mean, you could just use it for a football and it don't do nothing.
So you just turn it on with this little red button, and whenever it moves, there's a little Kenny Biddle does an explanation. Inside that little white, let me turn it off. I'm about to. Uh, there's a little ball in there, and they're basically two little metal things. And whenever it rolls to one side,
Thanks, Jan.
it'll kick on the light.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, exactly. But Tyler had an experience at the Whispers estate. Either their cat balls were super, super sensitive or they were about to die, but he could look at it and be like, hey, and it would go off. The like vibrations. I realized it was off camera, so that just looks silly. But the vibration from his voice would make it go off. But
Oh wow.
like this one, unless it's dying or something, probably um, won't do that. You actually have to touch it.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna have to see. Maybe I will bring it and set it out and see what happens.
Yeah, it's one of those things with all equipment. You kind of gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Because like I said,
And
I did all the tell. You set it out and you bang on
uh-oh.
ground or slam things and nothing. But I would pick it up and hit and actually smack it really hard, and then it would start flashing. I says, okay, so either thing's broken, or it's
Yeah,
just it's not that sensitive.
yeah, and I bought like 8 one time. It came in like an 8 pack,
Right.
and like 3 of them didn't work at all when I got them. They were either like dead or just defective or something, cuz I like to test them and make sure they're not just super super sensitive or not just like nothing will make it go off. I like to kind of vet the equipment, I guess you could say.
Right. Oh,
Ghost
Bill's
cats.
asking who is the side eye guy. But Bill's new to all of this stuff, so he does.
Oh, okay.
This side eye guy is somebody that doesn't come on my show. That's
Side eye guy is a debunker. He makes videos where he reacts or debunks ghost hunters, ghost hunting TV shows, stuff like that. And that's how we met. He
he's a great
reacted
guy, though.
Yeah, he reacted to a video that me and Nightmare Nation did, and then I made a response video. He made a response video. We became friends. We went ghost hunting together a couple times. We hope to plan to do it more in the future. And that's how I met a lot of these guys like Crow, and that's how I met Joe and Dawn, and
Right.
um, a lot of these people kind of reached out, said hi, stuff like that. I've talked to Mythos a few times.
So yeah, it's everybody just starts to intermingle, and I think we have a great community of people because everybody just intermingles, and then it's a natural flow, and we're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't matter the size either. I noticed with
right,
this group, this section of the paranormal on YouTube, it like doesn't matter if somebody has 1,000 subscribers, 100 subscribers, 30,000. Everybody, is willing to talk to each other and help each other
right.
out.
And see, that's the whole purpose why I wanted to do this on YouTube, is because I wanted to be educated myself, but I also wanted to help other people be educated. Not about just me, but everybody else that's in our community has something to say, has an experience, and I think it's great that each one can help another. So this is like some person doesn't know, you could help them out with, or uh, we don't know. We ask Joe or Jeff or even the debunkers. There's a lot of things that I never even caught because I used to watch these things and look at what are they looking for, and then when they would point it out, I would like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
So
and
it's an
Jeff
education for everybody.
definitely, and
Yeah.
talking to everybody, sometimes, and we all have our own opinions, and we all kind of respect that too. Like side eye guy, although he doesn't believe in like all of my opinions and theories and ideas and my idea of evidence, he is very respectful about it, and he's like, if you believe that and you're not faking it, like who cares? I'll let you believe that. It's respectful between all of us. And
Right.
yeah, Jeff, I didn't mean to leave you out of that. You're part of that group I was talking about too. And I definitely do want to do a video with you sometime soon. Definitely. Maybe reword it though, because I don't know if I want to go out with you. But I'm
Uh-huh.
just kidding.
Well, it's just like when we were on the show. Where were we on somebody's show the other night? I think it was yours. You're live, and Crow goes, "Oh, you're doing Laura Wednesday, right?"
Yeah.
And of course, I usually am very quick witted, and I didn't think of it until after everybody shut off. I finally said, "Well, oh yeah, he's doing me Wednesday. Do you want to watch?" I would have said it, but I didn't think of it until after
Yeah.
the fact.
Yeah. That's a thing too with this little like community is we're all very quick-witted in that way. Like one slip up in a live stream or a video, and everybody's just
Yeah,
quick to
everybody's all
yeah,
over it. I
yeah,
hold back. There's a lot of times I don't say anything.
yeah,
But once you guys get to know me pretty much personally, yeah, it's totally different from what you're seeing right now. So I'm a Gemini, so there's many sides to me.
I am too.
So
I
you
got
never
it on.
know. You never know
Got
what's
it
gonna
on.
come out of my mouth. Yeah, never know what's gonna come out or what I'm gonna do. What do we got going on here? Let's see. Crow of Judas. Oh, they know that it's time. Mommy's looking for the toys. And then Glenda's got here that Jeff trying to step in on Sag and Dawson's bromance. Oh,
Yep. I try to
gotta
talk to
watch
everybody,
it.
but I try to have Jeff on every once in a while, but he always calls me the third shift because when I go live, it goes till 3 or 4 in the morning, and he's like, I go to sleep, I wake up in the middle of the night to take a piss or smoke or something. I'll sit down at the computer and watch the live. He's like, but I'm not hopping on that late, so.
Right. Yeah, I know. You're on too late for us old folks.
Yeah, well, I whenever I do work, because I just work part time, I work till 8 o'clock. So then when I come home, I want to chill for a bit, take a shower, this and that, and then go live. And by that time, it's usually like 10 o'clock or like I tried to start at 9:30 last time to maybe catch maybe some people from like the UK maybe or
Right.
Australia, whatever. Try to make everybody a little happier. Maybe get Jeff in there. And he was like, maybe if you would have started earlier. I was like, damn it. I was like, I tried.
You do the best you can.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and I wouldn't want Jeff on. I'd want Mountain.
Oh. Sorry, Jeff.
I'm just kidding.
You just got kicked out. He wants Mountain, which is hysterical.
Yeah, no,
Jeff's a
yeah,
good guy. I like having him on as well, him and his wife.
yeah, yeah. I definitely, I hope to be able to do something with them soon. It is a little bit of a distance. I think he's like 9 or maybe even further hours away, so he's pretty far. But hopefully in the future, maybe this summer, maybe this fall, we can work something out where we can get together, film a video, or even just go do it for fun.
Right. All right. Now I have another question. Do you have a favorite place that you've been to so far?
Ooh. Favorite is like it's a hard one for me.
Yeah.
Like if you ask like scariest or most active or favorite, I don't know. Maybe may okay, so here's one that I would love to do again for sure because I had like the craziest experience. I don't know how to explain it. I can't prove it, but it's all on camera. I was at this jail called Crown Point Jail. Have you ever seen the movie Public Enemies with Johnny Depp? Oh, you're breaking up there.
Okay,
You're
you're back
muted.
on. Rose up. Sorry.
Oh,
Now, yeah, now it's doing it to me. Okay.
have
Let's
you
try that
have you
again.
ever have you ever seen the movie Public Enemies with Johnny Depp?
Parts of it, not the whole thing.
So it's the jail that part of that was filmed at. It's the last jail that he ever went to. It's the famous one where the woman warden was like, "We don't need to transfer him. We can hold him in here." He like made the gun out of wood or a bar of soap or whatever it was and
Right.
escaped. It's that jail, and we
Okay.
investigated it. And on it was the first floor, like towards the end of this cell block, and there was this woman, and she was kind of a serial killer, but really she had just like she killed like all of her children over time and with like poison and stuff. And first I think her name was Amy. I can't remember it now. This was a while ago. But we were told if you stand right in the doorway and you ask them to, some people feel like they're on a boat. Either they go in or they get pushed out or whatever. So I stood with
Oh.
my back in the cell, hoping that I'd get like pushed out or something. And I'm getting like goosebumps right now. It's crazy. It's literally so. I'm standing there. My hands are like at my side. I'm just relaxed, just standing there. And I asked for them to do it. And all of a sudden, my left hand starts just slowly going like this,
Oh,
just
wow.
raises up. And I like didn't even notice. Like you can see in the video, I literally was like, and I looked over because it was like I was like confused on what was happening, and I look and my arms just slowly raising up, and I like freaked out and I was like, "Thank you," and I like you can see that it's cool too because you can kind of see the moment where like I took back control of my arm. My arm like kind of jerks whenever I like hold
Right.
it there. I like hold it there in place, and I was like, "Thank you, I'm gonna step away now," and I like stepped out and I told my friend like what was happening, and he was freaking out. And I'm like, you gotta try it. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, it was the weirdest thing because I didn't like physically like just necessarily feel like somebody's hand was like on it raising it, but it was it was pretty crazy. And so he tried it, and it kind of happened, but he also even kind of said like he isn't sure if it was the mental part of is my hand gonna raise sort of thing, because it just
Oh,
happened to me. So
okay.
we're not completely sure if what happened to him was the same thing that was happening to me. But like I wasn't even looking that direction. It just
Right.
like I just noticed it, and you can just see me like look over. And I would love to do that again to see if it happened. We were hearing footsteps coming down the hall all night long. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened there, and it's small, but it's pretty big. That's that might be one of my favorite places because of the history too. Because John Dillinger is awesome.
Right. And I love it when you do your videos and the places that you go. The beginning of the video where you're giving all of the history because I love that as well. That's why I like to do cemetery runs, and I pick a certain person in the cemetery and I do their history on them. And I plan on doing that this summer to do a series and put it on. Um, the history, I think, is just fantastic. You do such a great job on telling the story and the details of the property and everything that happened with it, and so on. And I think you do a really great job with that.
I appreciate it. I don't think my voice is like spooky enough for it, but a lot of people lately, because I kind of just started doing it the way I've been doing it the last few videos, I just was trying it. I was like, if people like it that way, I can get all the history out of the way instead of like after every investigation, throw in the next part of history that involves that investigation, stuff like that.
Right.
And I tried it, and there was a bunch of people that were commenting stuff like, "Oh, perfect voiceover voice," and
Yeah.
like creepy history and all this and that. I didn't think so, but so it was nice to hear that other people did
Well,
it
because you
because
don't hear it. Because I always think I sound like shit, but I've had people say that I should do a phone sex line.
oh my yeah, I don't think I'd be
No,
very
I
good
don't
at
think I want to
that.
do that.
Yeah, I don't
But
think I'd be very good.
they like the way I answered the telephone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, it's yeah, that's probably one of my favorites. Also, Brushy
Pass,
was
thanks.
is up there.
so, so
Yeah,
some people
yeah,
have talents with something.
Brushy's another one of those places that's
um,
probably in the top three just because of the history, how big it was. Like, I definitely we kind of joked about it a few times of Nightmare Nation, Joe, me, and Side Eye Guy going back there again next time like Side Eye Guy comes to America, just because we didn't get to investigate like really. I mean, we got 20 minutes in this section, 20 minutes in that section, sort of thing. We didn't really get to do like a full investigation or anything.
right. Yes, Karen does fantastic research. She's like a research genius. I love it because yeah, she puts in all the details. It's a lot of work. It really is. And I don't think people realize it, and you guys don't get enough credit. You actually do the job. That's why I said I was impressed with you taking the path that you are in the paranormal field. Is you're doing what you're supposed to. You research the history, you get the information, then you do your investigation, and then you fill the rest of us in. And I just think that's just fantastic. It
Yeah,
goes
I've
like
definitely been
nice.
wrong plenty of times doing history. I've definitely, um, listened to the owners or the guides a little too much, stuff like that. But I typically try to keep the owner claims or allegedly, like if I don't know, because really, like, when it comes down to like, oh, we get footsteps here, we get scratches here, we get this and that, that's something that I'll definitely include, but like I can't prove that. So
Right,
it's just, the claims here and stuff like that. So I mean, I've definitely been wrong plenty of times, but I do try to tell the information that I believe and that I can kind of back up a little bit.
right. Apparently, Crow enjoyed that. Well, if you give me a phone call later, Crow, I may talk to
All right, Crow.
you. Jeez. Do you have a bucket list? A paranormal bucket list?
Um, kind of. I mean, like I want to do a haunted one of everything. Like I want to do a haunted school. I want to do a haunted jail, haunted prison. I've already done a jail and a prison, but like, you know what I mean? Like everything, haunted forest. Like if there's a thing and it's haunted, you know, I want to do it. Like haunted Masonic lodge, haunted racetrack, like I want to do like a one of everything.
And yeah, that shows you it's a great way to put it. One
Yeah.
of everything. You never know. I'll see if you have what it takes, Crow. Crow, you have no idea.
Oh my. See
Okay,
ya,
we'll
Anna
stop being
Banana.
fresh.
What's that?
I said we'll stop being fresh, but you have no idea, Crow. If you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing?
Uh, Probably just still working at my old job and working all the time and coming home,
All
sleeping,
that boring
stuff like that.
stuff.
Yeah, like I've always had like hobbies and everything. But I don't know if I. It really has kind of changed like the way I look at everything. Like if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would be doing. I'd probably just be working, living living the regular life, and
Living
instead
the
I'm
life.
every ghost hunt I try
You're
to,
living the adventure.
yeah,
That's the
every
way I
ghost
look
hunt,
at it.
explore stuff like that, videos. I really enjoy making videos. I enjoy the history of these places, whether I get contact from a ghost or not. It's I really enjoy it a lot. Like I didn't really think I was gonna enjoy it that much, and I am still a scaredy cat. Like I'm,
Oh, we all are to a certain point. If
yeah,
you're
like
not, you're crazy.
people, yeah. I hate the whole. Why do you go looking for ghosts if you're just gonna run away? Well, because it's fucking scary.
Yeah,
There's
well, I
nothing
don't
there.
run.
There's nothing there, and there's a giant bang, or a voice or something. It's scary. Like
Right.
I'm gonna get the hell out of there for a little bit, go catch my breath. Like I, a lot of people are like, oh, I wouldn't have ran, or I wouldn't have freaked out or
It
screamed.
all
It's like,
depends. Yeah,
yeah,
you experience it, and then you tell us all about it. I
right. Like,
never
all right,
run.
tough
I
guy,
have
you're
never been
watching
a
from the
run, really, a
couch.
really a runner. And I can't scream either. So it's either I'm going to go towards whatever it's going on. I mean, inside I might be pounding like I'll get out, but um, yeah, I've never ran from anything yet.
I
And
freeze a lot. I freeze a lot. Like I do like kind of run away a little bit or back up a little bit, but like a lot of what I do is like when something crazy happens, I'm like, what the, and I'll like point and like freak, like I freeze a lot because it's
right,
scary. It
yeah,
really
it
is.
all
There's nothing
depends.
there. There's
My
nothing
reaction
there.
usually is the it's terrible to say, but if something jumps out and scares me, I take a swing at it.
Yeah, punch a ghost in the face.
Jump out at me, I'm gonna hit you with the lay. It's just my reaction. So how
Yeah.
many times I popped my husband
Yeah.
because he
No,
thought
for
he's
sure.
being cute, and then he gets knocked back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's people are a lot kind of judgmental a little bit about me being a scaredy cat, but for the most part I think most people understand, like, there's it's an invisible thing and you
Yes,
just heard their voice, or it's an invisible thing and you just heard a bang, or you saw a shadow, or even an apparition. It's scary. Like it freaks you out, because nothing's there. Like especially like if you're real, nothing's there.
right,
Nobody's over there. Like it's a
right.
real reaction. It's
It
and
is a
I
reaction, and
it's
most
like,
people
oh
do
shit.
run. And
Yeah.
then when you realize what you're doing, it's like, "Oh shit," you turn around and you go back the other way.
Yeah. And
Thanks for hanging
it
with us, Sky Talker. We appreciate it.
Bye, Sky. See if that pops up. The hearts. No.
And what is she? Let's see. Jeff, look at the story where the paranormal investigator shot at a ghost. Oh, good lord.
That'd be me.
Yeah, I don't bring a gun with me.
Yeah, honestly, like, so I always like carry, but I don't like bring it into a haunted location, which, like, sometimes if you're doing like abandoned and stuff like that, you really should, I guess. But I always get freaked out, like, well, shit, what if I get possessed? And
Going around shooting up everybody that's with you.
yeah, yeah. So
My
that's why I
bad,
don't.
sorry.
Yeah, I try to make sure that there's no knives or weapons whenever I go ghost hunting, because you never know.
What's it with the salt gun? Good
Proving
lord.
demons.
Yeah, that's what a hot mess that is.
I think it's kind of funny. I kind of like, obviously, like, it's not going to work, but I love the idea, the enthusiasm about it. Like, oh, it's a salt gun, and they say, salt circles and stuff like that, and
Right.
it's kind of funny. I kind of do like it. It's like, well,
It is
like,
funny.
what if?
Oh, same thing with Beardo does that one guy there who has the holy water spray bottle.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, are you
yeah,
kidding me? But whatever
yeah.
works, I guess.
That's really haunted. I think it is, right?
I think I've watched a
Yeah.
couple of things. And then the guy that we were just talking about there, chasing demons, right? He's
Proving demons.
proving demons. See, I don't even remember his name. Uh, I was watching him for a little while, and then there's some really weird stuff that he does. And then when he's the one that was picking up the skull, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's when I just said, okay, he's crossed the line.
yeah. I only know that from the Side Eye Guys videos, but I kind of get it too, a little bit. Like for instance, if I went to the Paris catacombs and I came across a skull, I'd probably pick it up. You know, it depends on where you are too, though. Like the catacombs, like yeah, I'd probably pick up a femur. I'd pick up a skull, something like that, and that's a place I do
Yeah.
want to go to. But
Yeah, no, I couldn't do that because I don't know. In my book, that's just being disrespectful.
yeah,
I mean, everybody thinks of it differently, but I mean, like they said, he picked the skull and they're screwing around with it. I'm thinking, you got to be
yeah.
kidding me.
If you're gonna do that, you can't screw around. Like if you shouldn't do it, but if you're gonna do it, like you don't mess around with it. You don't pass it around. You know.
Right. Have some kind of respect.
Yeah.
If it's on the ground, you pick it up, you put it back where it goes. You don't play around with it, and that just really annoyed me. So I haven't watched it since then.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any questions for Dawson? Let's get him out there. Let's see, fantastique.
I wouldn't go the conventional way. If I went, I would go the illegal way. Which is very dangerous because there's loads of videos of YouTubers getting a guide that takes them the illegal way and they leave them down there. I mean, there's plenty of them. I
Oh
mean, it even
no,
happened to Overnight. When they went, their guide left them. It's just one of those things that happens. That's the way I would go. And yeah,
and
I
people
mean,
are actually stealing the bones.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, there's like what 6 million bones down there. I'm sure
That's so
plenty of
crazy,
bones. I wouldn't take it. I would touch it and pick it up, but
right?
yeah, I don't think I would take it.
Gosh, sick people out there. Why the hell would you want to take that home? Oh, but people do. Yeah, I
I
know.
I
They're just.
like I like weird oddities and stuff. So like I definitely understand. I mean, I
I mean,
don't
I have
think
like fake skulls and stuff and all that too. But I mean, it's man made. It's not.
yeah.
I'm
Well, I
like, well,
mean,
let's go to the cemetery and bring a shovel.
technically, human skulls man-made too, women-made in the
Eh?
stomach.
You're right.
Well,
You're
not the
right.
stomach, but yeah. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be, you know, one of those things. It'd be cool to have, but I wouldn't want to steal it. Yeah, bone broth. I don't even know what that is, to be completely honest. But
We're
I'm
not
sort of
eating
a
at your house, Stephanie.
yeah. Like man, that what this tastes weird. What is this? Oh,
Sorry, we're not.
human skull.
That reminds me of the Adams Family,
Yeah,
where they
I
show
don't.
the grandmother making dinner and she's ladling up, and there's an arm or something in the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't eat there.
So does anybody have any questions?
Any questions at all? Just spit them out. Otherwise, I'm going to do my final couple of questions for Dawson so we don't keep him on here forever. What is this?
I'm a pizza pizzazz guy. Pizza pizzazz is like the greatest invention ever. That's what I like to use. I'm not too good at the microwave to be. I can't cook. I can't cook nothing. But the pizza pizzazz, you just throw it on there, turn the dial, and you're good to go.
I would say, yeah, because I don't even know what that is.
Probably just the pizza one. I'm a big pizza fan.
Uh-huh. I ate pizza for lunch. Fabulous.
Heck yeah.
So, but you got to learn how to cook. It's important.
Yeah. I just
I'm sure
I
your mother has told you that it's important because when you're on your own, you can't live on garbage. You got to learn how to feed yourself because the girls today just don't. They don't know how to
I
boil water.
I did for like 6 years. All I did was I lived alone, just ate frozen pizzas and
Oh,
stuff like that.
So it's I taught my son to cook because and it kills me because all his girlfriends are being impressed. You cook? I'd say, well, yeah, but I can't depend on you girls because none of you can
Yeah.
even. So it's you got to teach that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to like throw pans away after trying to make spaghetti. I've burned mac and cheese in the microwave, burned ramen noodles in the like almost caught my microwave on fire, stuff
Oh,
like that. Like
jeez.
I can't cook. It's like a
No, the
curse.
the one important thing on cooking is you need to pay attention. You can't put it in there and then go be on your phone or your computer. You have to stay in the kitchen and pay attention.
Yeah, I love pasta, but I just can't make it. Can't make it. I don't
Yes,
know why.
good
Just
cook.
can't. I've tried. Like that's why like I'll go to somebody else's. I'll buy the stuff. I'll bring it to somebody else's house and be like, "Hey, you want to eat this?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I'll get the stuff and be like, "All right,
Yeah,
like
you
make
gotta
it. And we'll eat it."
you gotta cook it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's important. Okay, well, let's see, that's what they're talking about cooking and stuff. Okay. Uh, your opinion on the fakers and what kind of damage do you think that they are doing to the paranormal field?
I mean, realistically, of for all time since there's been like photographs and people trying to talk to ghosts, there's always been fakery. So, I mean, really, it's kind of the same thing as always. It's like you just got to know what's fake and what isn't, and go from there. I don't. I think it's dumb that they get all the support and everything because their videos are fun. They're entertaining. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be fakers. I mean, it's not just YouTubers; it's people on Facebook posting pictures.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, they used to do the pictures at like the fairs and stuff, where they would have like a ghost standing behind you.
right.
Um, it's
Well,
it's
even
always
like what Jeff says there that when you're doing residential and you've got fakes going in there telling these
yeah,
people that they could get rid of something serious. Because I did a show with him on that about people faking those things, and there is a danger to that, and it is a long-term damage that and these people
yeah,
are, "Oh, I cleaned it, you're good," and then they go on and never talk to him again.
yeah, and that's different for sure. If you're fake, you should know that you can't do that. Just go be fake in Airbnb. You don't have to go to residentials. You don't have to pretend to cleanse. I mean, I don't even know how much I truly believe in like cleansing a place. I mean, I believe people have done it. I've heard of people doing it and I believe them, but it's one of those things. It's like, can you do it? Or is it willingness for them to leave while you're trying to get rid of them, and then the positive feeling after the fact of, hey, it's gone. The
Right,
psychological part of, hey, it's gone, and that's that.
right,
uh, it's that Yeah, that's obviously unacceptable. You cannot do that. You cannot be a fake person, knowingly fake, going into these places trying to help people, or I mean, not even trying to help people, pretending to help people.
right.
But to a certain extent, I also think most of these fake people, if they are cleansing houses, the people are in on it.
Hi, Julie. Yeah, that's what it is, and so it's and like I say, because Jeff, Jeff has done all of this. I haven't. I've only done about 2 residentials because it's such a commitment because you just can't do that one time and then walk away. It could be, you are in touch with these people for years because who knows what you're dealing with. Um, Luckily, what I did was just pretty simple, basic. Um, Nothing so as intricate as like what Jeff has done.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that, Jeff, and I mean, I've heard of a few people going after them for the same exact reason. It's not cool, but like I said, to a certain extent, I think some of these people are probably in on it. I'm not trying to get involved in something like that, but there's a specific video where they went to a famous TikToker's house who were caught faking and there was nothing there. And I think they were in on it. I think they were a part of all that. Um, Maybe some aren't, but I think to a certain extent, the homeowners in these cases are in on it. I think they might even go as far as like getting Airbnbs and going there and having this person say that they live there and that they experience this, and them pretending to get stuff and then being like, okay, we're cleansing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah. It's definitely it's a touchy thing. I don't think you should do it knowingly. I don't know why they would, unless they truly believe that like they're fake, but they also can cleanse houses, which is like a stupid thing to think. But
And it is a bit of a process. I mean, they're walking around doing blah 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 blah. It's more to it than what they show. It
if
is
you're
a
in a
long process.
residential, if you're doing a residential where you're trying to help somebody and you pull out a fucking phone app, me personally, if my house was like demonically haunted or something and I had somebody come over to try to help, I don't care if they're filming, go ahead. But you pull out a fucking spirit talker or necrometer or ghost tube, I'm gonna
Exactly.
punch you in the mouth and
Right.
you're gonna get out of my
Get
house.
the
Like,
hell out because yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
just not what
what are
happened.
you? What are you? Like you're gonna walk in doing that? No.
And that's what they do. You're right, Jet. They are. They're making a killing. And they have no feelings about it whatsoever. They don't care. It's lining their pockets. And that's why they get so upset with the debunking community, is because that's hitting them in their wallet. Because
Is it though?
people are waking up to it. Because there's a lot of people like, oh my God, what I didn't know this, or I didn't know that, or I got sucked in, or and they always hit people at a vulnerable time. So that, they're thinking, oh well, they did speak to my dead relative, or this did happen, or that. So when you get the rest of the guys like Crow and all of them out there, and they start picking those videos apart, and then that's the light turns on, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like what the debunkers do, and they've taught me a lot about like my equipment. Like, I have a video from way back when I went to LA, and we were getting an exclusive tour from the head security guard at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. And, he took us into Marilyn Monroe's room, the one that's supposed to be haunted by her, and the ballroom that nobody was allowed to go into, this upstairs, like, loft, stuff like that. And I genuinely did not know that walkie talkies could make REM pods go off. I didn't know any of this because I didn't look up how to fake things. So, like, I just thought,
Right,
it couldn't. And it's on the video and everything. Like, you can hear him hit the button and talk. I just didn't know. So it was like in the video. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, why is it going so crazy?
right.
And I didn't connect the dots because I was just stupid at the time. It was like the fifth place I ever went to. It ended up being like my eighth video that I released, but it was like the fifth place I went to. I didn't know. I watched a debunker's video about it, and I'm like, oh shit! And like I
Is that
finally,
you're concentrating on the what's going on, not what's off to the side.
yeah, like I knew what he was doing, but he didn't do it on purpose because he didn't know how it worked either. And I didn't like intentionally be like, hey, do this, because otherwise I would have cut it out of the video, right? But
Right,
it was just one of those things where I didn't know, so I didn't learn it. And, eventually when I figured it out, I went to that video and pinned a comment, was like, hey guys, like this specific stuff is not a ghost. Like I didn't know at the time.
right.
So, it's been a learning thing. And I do appreciate watching them and learning stuff that I may not have known. I don't agree with everybody's ideas, but when it comes specifically to like devices, I am a lot more skeptical about certain things. And it kind of made me realize when I watch other people's videos, I'm like, oh, well, that's a walkie talkie making the REM pod go off.
Right, right.
Because it's just does the same thing for the most part.
So yeah, that's what it is. That's why I think the education is so important. Um, And, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. To get that education out there the best that we can, getting that information from everybody. That's what I'm saying. Anybody who wants to be interviewed, jump on, and I'll take it on, because we need to know these things. People need to know these things. It's really super important. And even though we could be fooled even by our own equipment or things that we've, done, and we just didn't pick up on it. So that's
Yeah,
why it's great when
exactly.
you do post your videos. You might not have seen it at that time, but somebody like Joe or somebody, and they're looking at it like, oh wait, Dawson, you missed this, or this is what caused this, and
Yeah, and
so
I
that's
think there's a big difference in being wrong and being fake.
right,
That's just one of those things, you know. Are you wrong and you're just kind of an idiot like I've been at times where I'm just like freaking out, oh, that's a ghost and it wasn't, or are you fake and and
right.
you're purposely doing it?
So yeah, it's very important for people to pay attention to these debunkers. And even when you guys debunk yourselves while you're doing your investigation, people can see this. So they know what you're looking for, what to look for on their own investigations. Because you've got a lot of people that are new to this. They have no clue, don't know how any of these machines work. Um, so they're just flying in blind. So if you have some kind of a base, a good foundation of
Yeah,
education to back you up, then I think you'll have a better go.
yeah, and I didn't know like jack when I first started, about nothing. But like even then, like my old videos, you see me try, I try, and even, maybe I wasn't correct, but I tried. Like, oh, that's what made this go off, or blah blah blah. I tried, and nowadays I'm way better, and for the most part, like obviously somebody may know more than me, but for the most part, like I can kind of tell like if a device went off, if it's like dead battery, or uh, I don't know, vibration or something, versus like interesting might be a ghost type of situation. But back in
Right.
the day, I didn't know the difference between either. It was all like, oh shit, like what is that?
So it's yeah, that's these are things that people need to know. And I don't, yeah, I agree, Jeff. Yeah, residential is total different creature, totally different. And you need to, I think, to intern with people who have had experience to know what you're doing, instead of just running in there, blind and saying, "Oh, I can help you, I can help you," and either you make it worse, um, and there's
Yeah,
so many rules.
I think if you use apps in an investigation at all, really, like I know some people do it as a joke, which I think is okay. But I think if people use apps and they're genuinely like think it's gonna work, I think that's just I don't know. The same thing can be said about like REM pods and music boxes and stuff.
Right.
I get it. I get it. I'm not trying to be judgmental or a dick, but I just they don't work. They don't, and it's 99.99999% that it will never be a ghost. You know?
Right. Well, like, and then that's your opinion, and that's great. Nobody's got a problem with that. Like you said, it's like what says it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Some people might get different results than the next person.
Yeah.
And that's why it's all an experiment. Um,
Yeah. And we're all learning, and we're nobody's a professional. I don't care who you are. Nobody is, because you
actually,
just aren't. You
nobody's
might
a
be
real
better.
professional in this field. You're a professional in your own experiences, but we're all still just a student, and we're all learning,
Yeah.
until we actually come up with
Yeah.
something. And that would be
Yeah.
just amazing. And then the thing is, okay, we've come up with something. Now what? Now what do you
Right.
do?
Uh.
Question.
Yeah. Faith. I think maybe some of the really small channels that may not watch a lot of YouTube might believe like the apps or a lot of silliness. They might truly believe that because maybe they haven't found the debunkers really are such a small, like the biggest one has like 36,000 subscribers or something. That's amazing, but the biggest, I mean, look at Ghost Adventures. They probably get like 10 million views an episode, right? Like it's nothing in comparison. So a lot of these people probably don't know. Um, I think the big fake channels definitely know, and they do not believe their evidence. I think some people might, like these people that just go with their friends, and they might not even film anything. They may believe like Spirit Talker and stuff like that.
Right. Then don't apps incite fear in the investigators or anxiety? I don't know.
Maybe for some people that
It
might
could,
believe it.
yeah, it could. It could.
I ran into a guy at the Crescent Hotel that he saw us with a camera, and we were leaving in the morning, and he asked like who I was, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, I had some really cool stuff come through last night." And I'm like, "Oh, you did? What'd you get?" And he pulled out a screenshot of his phone, and it was a screenshot of Spirit Talker with like a bunch of words.
Oh, wow.
Like the how it
Right.
like logs it. I was like, cool, man. I didn't like belittle him or say anything. I was just like, cool, man. That's a really cool conversation that you had. And was like, I gotta go. But
Right, right.
I bet he believes it because he's just
Yeah,
a casual, which is I'm slightly more than a casual. There's some people they download the apps because they don't want to buy all this equipment because they go once a year to a haunted place,
right.
and they probably believe all that stuff.
And what I've noticed also, a lot of people have talked about this. I noticed that they're letting the apps uh pretty much
Oh, you broke up
they're
there for a
like
second.
you see like with the Ouija brothers when you see that they have the app running and they'll acknowledge it. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. But they're doing the work, doing the investigation, and that is just kind of like a side note. Where you see all the other ones that are a lot of them are doing out there, it's, "Oh, we said this, or we gotta do this, or gotta do that." They're not investigating, they're just going by what the app is saying or connecting it with the area that they're in.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure once in a blue moon that maybe a spirit could manipulate a word or something. I'm not silly enough to pretend like it's impossible. Um, yeah, if I watch a video, as soon as they pull up an app, I click off. I can't watch it because most, like probably 99% of them, it just said Dawson. Oh my God. There was a spirit here named Dawn. That's a really close name. It's probably
Right.
it's I can't stand it. I really can't.
No, I agree with you, Nat. Everybody has their own experiences, and if you've experienced something, interesting using the apps, then that's fantastic. Like I said at the beginning, I did with that one time where I went to that place and it named a name that it shouldn't have.
Yeah,
And that
that's
kinda
really
set me
cool.
back a little bit, so I'm gonna retest it to see if I have that same experience. Because why would it say that? Out of all the names there are, why in that specific location would it say the name of the man who just died? So,
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
saying
that's
that.
interesting. It really is. It's one of those
Yeah,
things. Is that a once in a blue moon
right,
thing? Maybe. It's definitely cool. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, especially like if you have it in like location services off, if you what I think is cool that some people should do that I don't think I've seen anybody try is like if your phone has a headphone jack, you just cut the ends of it and you just put it in there so that it thinks so that there is no microphone. Like for instance, on iPhone they don't have a headphone jack, so you could do it with just like one of the adapter things,
right.
so that there's no microphone, so that stuff like that. I think people should try that. That would be like the best way to where if you do have something really really interesting that happens like that, where you're like, okay, so it didn't hear us, it doesn't know where we are.
Right.
It's one of
So, yeah, because that's what I did, I shut everything off,
yeah.
and I downloaded it as I was driving to the location. So that nothing would be corrupted, nothing, it would pick up nothing, and I shut everything off on the phone, and then I didn't even hold the phone. It was on the table. Nobody was in the house with me. and all I
Yeah,
did
that's
was
a really good way to do it.
and I just turned it on, didn't say a word, and then all of a sudden, just Charlie flew out of it. And I said,
Yeah,
"Okay," and I shut it off. And like I said, when I had her come back in the room and I asked her questions, and she says, "Well, that's my brother, Charlie. He just died 2 months ago." And I'm thinking, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
why would it pick up that name unless it was Charlie?"
yeah. It's really interesting because you if you do it the right way and you can eliminate like as many false positives as you can, and something still happens that's like intelligent and cool, then that's like one of those interesting things where, like you said, you want to go back and try it again. And if it happens again, that's awesome.
Right?
That's like, oh, maybe there's something going on here, type of thing.
Right. So that's what it is. I want to confirm if this actually just it could have just been coincidence, which I actually find it really odd that, like I said, why would it pick Charlie? It could have
Yeah.
said anything. And,
Yeah.
it happened to be that Charlie lived there and I was sitting in his chair. So that's really something to actually go for
These dang
and see if I
solar
get the
flares.
I know, it's terrible. The
Um,
Ouija brothers are a perfect example of how to use them. Yeah, well, because they're still doing the experiment, but they're not relying completely on that piece of equipment to tell them the outcome of the investigation.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's great if it adds to it. That's fantastic. And if you do get, because like I said, again, it's energy. We're dealing with supposed energy. So why can't it manipulate itself to use for communication? So we
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know. We just don't know.
yeah, we don't know anything. It's really like when someone says something just can't work unless they can prove to me like a ghost. And it's like, you don't know that it can't. But like for instance with some of these apps, how there is nothing that a ghost could do that could make it go off. It's like, yeah,
Right.
that it can't. But like for instance, like I said, I really like the REM pod. The music box to me is like a pretty cool one because the one I have, this gets brought up a lot. Is like, oh, the light. You're making it go off with the light and stuff. Mine doesn't do that. We tested it. Kenny Biddle even tested it at the Bel Air house because he was under the impression, I believe. Don't I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but he was trying to say like shadows and lights and everything, and infrared can do it,
Right.
and it can't. He couldn't get it to go off. It's just some of them maybe you can, but mine you can't. So I think of that one as a pretty reliable one, as long as you're aware of like if dust gets on there,
Right.
stuff like that. As long as you're aware of that kind of thing, like it is literally just a laser with a motion. You break that laser with motion,
Right.
it'll yeah.
Yeah, because I did have this. I told Kenny this story as well, and he found it to be interesting, and wanted to know what app I used, and I said that was the only one. And so yeah, he said it would be interesting too if I did it again and come up with the same results, because then that was something we could probably try to pick apart and
Yeah.
figure it out. No, Candy, I didn't do any online searches or anything. I didn't use the phone at all except for downloading the app on my way there, and then I just didn't turn the phone and stuff back on until I got to the location. And like I said, everything was off, and I just turned the app on and set it on the table.
And you didn't even know who Charlie
I
was
did. I
before
didn't
they
ask
said it,
no
right?
questions because I go in blind when I go in somewhere. I want nothing to know about the place whatsoever, because then I don't want any kind of preconceived ideas or things going on in my head that I'm going to be looking for. Oh, like, oh, they said this door opens, or they. I don't want to know any of that. I want to go in there blind and know if I find something that actually okay. Then I ask the homeowner or whoever is running the building, does this stuff go on? What goes on here? And then see if they mesh together.
Yeah, the time that I saw an apparition, I the guide did not tell us about it. Apparently, it's a common thing, but I didn't know. And the guide, it was in the kitchen of Ashmore Estates, and I like didn't even like react. I didn't even like believe it because I was like, why me? Why would I see one? You know, like it's such a rare thing. But I saw a woman in white, kind of reminded me of like a nursing outfit, walk past this window, and I was like, nah, you know. And I told my friend about it. I set up the REM pod. I was like, hey, if I just saw you, can you touch this REM pod? Touched it, blah blah blah. Maybe a half hour later, we take a break. We're standing outside, and the guide comes out of one of the sheds because at Ashboro there's like sheds that you can sleep in. And she comes out of the shed, and we're talking, and I just bring up like the kitchen area. I was like, is there anything in the kitchen that you like didn't tell us? And she was like, oh well, yeah, you know, sometimes people will see this woman in a nursing outfit walk by. And I literally just got like goosebumps, and I was just like, what? And my friend looked at me and was like, okay, I believe you, because she didn't tell us and I saw it, and she just validated it without.
There you go. Yeah. See, I think
And
it's better to do it that way.
like I do a little bit of hybrid. I like to know a little bit. I like to know who's there. I like to know, you know, certain things, but I don't like to just know every single thing about the home
Right. Well,
or
pretty much I know,
building.
like, the one I'm gonna be doing, or I've been trying to doing for these last couple of months. I know the house was built in the 1800s, and that's what I know about it. Um, as far as anything else, nothing. Um, and I know the name of the house and all that, but as far as anything else, nothing. I prefer it, like I said, I prefer it that way. So then, like I said, I could get validation if anything does happen, then they can fill me in and we'll say, oh, okay, well then you got something possibly going on here.
Yeah.
And I always use you possibly or in my opinion because you just never know. And I don't like to stir up something that you don't need to stir up. Because
Yeah.
usually when you tell somebody something, then they start getting freaked out. So it's,
Yeah, it's you never know. It's just kind of what I like to go with. I've seen them. I've heard them, felt them, watched my friend get scratched, things move that shouldn't have moved, stuff like that. Like whatever it is there. That's
right.
I know, but you know, it's just one of those things. There will always be somebody, like Wisdom said. There's always going to be somebody that refuses to believe. That'll just like
Exactly.
lie to themselves about it. There's a lot of factors, but like I know what I've experienced was not like bullshit, wasn't somebody fucking with me, stuff like that.
It was, yeah, it was an actual event. Yeah, I have stuff in my own house. I've never investigated my own house, but I do have something here, and I just let it have its peace, and it leaves us alone. Every now and then you'll hear something, but I think, oh, okay,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, there's like every time I went to the Monroe house, there was always some sort of like a temporary attachment, and it's happened to pretty much everybody I've talked to that went there. It happened to them too. The same like thing too. For like a couple days, it'll come back with you, scare you, show up in your dreams, stuff like that. And it's the same thing to people that I had never talked to before until a year after I went, and they had the
right.
same exact experience. And it's like, okay, so that was real.
It's easy for people to dismiss people's personal uh stories, but it's I don't know. For us, they always maybe it's the skeptic in everybody. But when people tell me a story, that I say, well, tell me the detail. I want to know the details of your experience. So it
And
helps
memory's a
me.
bad thing.
Yeah.
Memory's bad to rely on. So,
Oh,
like, if
yeah.
you don't have video of it, you're going to get it wrong. Parts of it. I think so, Jeff, a little bit. I really do. I think if you go in, nothing's going to happen. Nothing ever happens, stuff like that. Um, I think if you go in there with like a bossy attitude, you have to show me this if you're real. You have to do that. No, they don't. They're people. You know, I believe that being closed minded or even like uber mega skeptical, where you're like, if something happens, that'd be cool. I would love for that to happen. I do think that that matters.
Right. Well, like you said, when you guys all did the investigation with the side eye guy and all of them, and I was just hoping something would happen to him while you guys were there.
I mean, it did.
So
He later on dismissed it because it wasn't on camera or anything, but me and him were the only ones there, and we heard a thing, whatever it was. We both heard the same cadence, but we heard kind of different tunes, and that's why he kind of dismissed it. But he thought he heard a cough, and I thought it was kind of more of like an echoey, metallic kind of sound. And but we both heard it from the same area. We both like knew exactly where it came from, and he was like, "That's why." In his brushy video, he was like, "I get it." When people say like, "Oh, it happened off camera," and then
right.
it's like, yeah, whatever, bullshit. And he's like, I get it now because it
Yes.
does.
Yeah, pretty much. It's always the way it works. And the cameras are off, and that's when something goes on. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not performing monkeys. They're gonna do it when their own damn sweet time is pretty much when they're gonna do it.
yeah. I like to
Um,
look. I say it all the time. Like they're not circus acts. They're
right,
not just like
exactly.
they're people. You gotta be cool with them. You gotta be their friend or
Right.
whatever.
Well, and then you see a lot of them like, oh, well, can you do this or can you? They're not performing monkeys.
Yeah.
It's and the way they ask just doesn't fit the bill.
I also
I
think with the whole science thing, with people that are very like, we have to prove it with science. I think it's people. It's not predictable like atoms and stuff like that.
right,
They're people.
right,
They all have their different mind. They all do a different thing. Me and you do completely different things. If somebody
right.
were to study, if we were both humans and they went based on like what we're doing, like, oh no, it's completely different. So they're clearly something else. You know, it's a hard thing. Like we don't know how yet. I think it can be proven. I just don't think we know how, or we don't have the
Right.
technological ability
I
yet.
believe that too. We don't have the technology to pick up on. I think they struggle to communicate.
Yeah, and I think like REM pods and music box and stuff, you can talk to them. I really do, but to scientifically, like I don't know, get scan and just see it there or something, it's just not there yet. Oh,
Sorry, we're back on.
solar flares.
Hey, with those flares are over. This is over with. It's really annoying.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like Sean is saying that he goes, if you rely only on your memory, it becomes just your perception. The thing is, like you say, you just said that you and Syed Aga were both in the same room. You both heard two different things, but it was at the same time. So, I mean,
we were just outside in this courtyard at the prison, and we are about to set up for the intro, and everybody was still in like the room where we had all our gear, and I was setting up my camera. We weren't recording, and we both just clear as day heard like a, but that it was that cadence. It was like a kuh. It was some
right?
sort of. It was cool.
It was there. All right, hey, like I said, Liz just says they do. They treat them like a circus act, and they want them to perform, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and like I'm guilty to that a little bit. Hey, can you touch this REM pod? Hey, can you go
Right,
over and touch this? It's but there's like a certain thing. It's yeah, I don't like when people walk in somewhere and say slam that cabinet right now or something.
right,
I think you got to build up that trust, and even if they can, I don't think every spirit is capable of moving objects. I don't think every spirit is even capable of touching devices. It's different.
right. It is different, and it's different for everybody. I think if you treat them with respect, you're going to get a better result.
I
Like I
agree.
said, you don't just say, well, you need to do this, or can you do, CG, would you please, can you confirm that you're here? You use respect, in talking with them. And I just think it works better that way. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, we said earlier, if we pass on, and we happen to be hanging around, I want somebody to say, "Hey, gee, can you
Oh,
thump on the ceiling?" Well, me being a smartass, I'd probably thump on the top of your head, not on the ceiling. So yeah,
yeah, and
just to
like
show that I was annoyed.
when we were at Brushy, I was the only one that heard these noises, and I said like, "Hey, if you made those noises, could you do it again to show everybody I'm not crazy?" And there was no noise, and everybody was like, "If I was a spirit, I would totally fuck with you and not do it, just
Yeah.
so that everybody,
Say,
it was
up
funny
yours,
because
buddy. What do you think I am?
yeah, it's I think I would joke with people, stuff
Right.
like that.
Well, you got to have a little fun.
Yeah. If it's just complete free will and not just like a looping memory or
Right.
sometimes I think that to them like we're the ghosts and they just see like a floating red light very faintly and they kind of poke it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey,
Well, we
what is
also have
that?
to. Oh, yeah, it was you're just crazy.
Yeah,
I think
pretty
we
much.
forget that they're in a different dimension than we are.
Maybe. Yeah.
So it's not easy for them to it's not easy to break through those barriers. I mean, that's how I look at it. It's not like, okay, it's like I can come up to you and just touch you if I want to. Where they have to build up the energy to get to that point.
Yeah.
To just that smallest little thing or whisper in your ear. Um because I believe it is a different dimension. So they're breaking through barriers just so that they can communicate.
Yeah, I don't know exactly necessarily what I believe in that sense. I have different opinions that collide with each other in my head when I think about it. Sometimes I just quite literally think it's like a timeline, like a past timeline that's kind of still hanging around. Like for instance, radio waves and like TV waves, they go on
Right?
forever. They just get bigger and further away. If you go in space far enough, you're eventually going to catch the first airing of like the Dick Van Dyke Show
Right.
because that's how it works. It just gets
How
bigger and
long it
bigger and
takes,
keeps.
yeah, to reach.
So
Just because I didn't do a show about this. Same thing with as far as us hearing them. It never dawned on me really in the beginning is frequency. You know, they might be at a lower frequency than us. So,
yeah,
you have to adjust equipment to catch those lower frequencies to be able to catch more EVPs. Because they could be just talking right along and we're not picking it up.
yeah. I mean, the best stuff that I've caught has been like audible voices or seeing things or scratches, burns, stuff like that on camera. It's like it hasn't even like my best stuff isn't devices. It really is just. But I think devices can work. I mean, I I completely believe that I caught a ghost on camera in one of my videos because I was looking into a black obsidian crystal ball like this big in the dark with just candlelight. We're doing the Estes method. I'm scrying, and during the Estes method, I say like my name and I say watch him, and then they were like, why should we watch him? And then it was like me, and right after that, or right, yeah, right after that, I see in this little black obsidian crystal ball something white run behind my chair. And I like jump
Wow.
up and I'm like, I just saw something. And I was like, you can't catch them on camera though. I kind of almost believed that you can't catch them on camera. Review the footage when I'm editing and you can see it at the same exact time that I see it in real life in a reflection of a black obsidian crystal ball. You see it run behind my chair
Oh, that's
like
amazing.
fast as hell.
Right.
And it's like if it just would have been that, maybe you could have passed it off as something else. Oh, it wasn't a ghost. But the fact I seen it in a reflection at the same time during the essence it's saying, "Hey, watch him," and it's there on camera. That's not a coincidence. I really believe that like I captured an entity of some kind on camera that day.
Got something. That's pretty neat. And you should, yeah, keep all of this stuff so you have this collection. So then you could maybe put out a video of just all of these little things.
Yeah,
Whatever you cut on video or audio, just a compilation of a bunch of things. They
yeah,
would be
that
pretty
video is
interesting.
out. Yeah, that video is out, and it's to me, it's very compelling. I mean,
Oh,
it clearly goes behind the chair, and I see it at the exact time. It's not like 5 seconds later I'm like, oh my god. It was like as soon as it happened, I scream out what I saw and described it, and then it happens to be on camera. It's
fantastic.
so cool.
Single female lawyer. Is that who it was? I don't know. Does anybody have any more questions before I hit Dawson up with my final 6 silly questions? That's something I added to my program. I thought it'd be a fun way to end the program. So yeah, I'm giving you your last chances to get your questions out there. And everybody's quiet. So okay, I usually do this. It's called my 6 silly questions. I like to catch people a little off guard, and because they usually don't expect to answer these kinds of questions, so you really don't think about it. So question 1 is, what's your favorite swear word?
Fuck.
Okay. Okay, what is your least favorite word or phrase?
Hmm. I don't really like the word panties.
Really? Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just a weird one to me.
That's funny. Okay. Where do you think you'll be in 5 years?
Big plot of land, little house, and hopefully successful.
Wonderful. No wife or children?
I have a daughter, but
A
probably
daughter?
not a. I don't want any more kids
You
either.
don't want any
Just
more?
the
Oh, okay, just the one. That's right, I did see the pictures. My bad. Oh my goodness. Okay, what is your favorite sound?
What's my favorite? You broke up there. Favorite sound?
I always throw people off with these questions because this is stuff you usually don't think about. So what's your favorite sound?
Um, I don't know. That's an interesting one.
See, I'm giving you something to think about.
I mean, I really enjoy the sound of like cool cars,
There you
but I
go.
mean,
That's a good sound.
farts a good one too. I think farts are funny. Maybe farts are cool
Mixed
cars.
fart sounds. All right. Well, then you must have enjoyed that live that Crow did.
Yeah,
4-hour fart show there.
yeah, that was crazy. I kept hopping in thinking that it was just like a short thing, and every time
That's what I
an
was doing
hour later,
too.
an hour later, I'd hop in, it'd still just be
And be
wet
still
ass.
farting? What the heck, man? What sound do you hate?
Like screeching, like nails on chalkboards,
Oh.
things kind of like that, like metal dragging on concrete, stuff like that.
They say cars with fart cannons. There you
Yeah.
go. Okay, my last question. If there is a heaven, what will your first words be?
Uh, I guess if there was a heaven and I went there, I guess I would probably say like, "Where's my family?" Take me to them. I guess,
Good.
or I'm
That's
sorry,
good.
or I'm sorry. Hey, I didn't believe. Sorry.
A lot of people are like, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble."
Yeah, yeah. No, seriously.
So everybody has great answers. I love it. Oh, and we do have one more question here.
Yeah, I kind of went over it a little bit, but I don't believe in them. I'm not against it. I think I think the people are just really good liars. Um, but I'm open to being wrong. I don't believe, but if somebody could convince me, that'd be cool.
Exactly. It has to be a complete proof. It is hard to prove that. It really is.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
there's a whole thing about like cold reading. I learned it from Crow about how it's insane how accurate they can be, and they don't know who you are, and they're not a psychic. They're just cold
Right.
reading stuff.
Yeah, I
It,
thought that was wild too. I've seen that, and they're good at it. They
yeah,
really are good at it.
I think they're just good liars. I really
Yeah.
do. I think, like I said, I believe that I'm empathic. I believe people can be empathic, but in my opinion, I think that's about it.
We are all what is Stay Tuned saying? We all be falling to heck. Wave going past. See you there.
Oh yeah.
Everybody hop on for the ride. Well, I want to thank you, Dawson. I had a great time picking your brains. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you'll
I
be
did.
willing to come hang out with us again.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks for having me on. I had a blast. You're a good
oh,
time. Thanks to
great,
everybody in the chat that
great.
came and showed up, said hi, all
Yes,
that. I really
thank you,
appreciate it.
everybody. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you're not a sub of Dawson's, get over there and check him out. He's got some great videos. I think he's doing a great job, and I'm sure everybody else is looking forward to your next adventure. And of course, it's going to include Joe, so who knows what kind of trouble you're going to get into.
Maybe I
So,
might. Well, so Goatman's Bridge might come out first, and that's going to be a
okay.
solo. But yeah, after that, hopefully Joe. But we did talk that maybe, depending on what happens, I may not be able to complete. I may not be able to release that for a while. So
Oh, okay.
hopefully I can. But if not, it may be a while. But I got a bunch of stuff coming up. Goatman's Bridge. I'm going to this haunted nursing home with my friends WTL, who I've done a few videos with. Uh, lots of stuff planned. But thank you again. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh,
Hey, you did a good job, really good job.
thank you very much.
I
I must have
wasn't
to.
sure how being interviewed would go, but you did a good job. I was comfortable, everything. I was a little
Well, I
nervous at
pretty
first.
much tell everybody it's pretty much just like talking with friends on the phone.
Yep.
I have no judgment towards anybody. Everybody's opinion is welcomed. I'm pretty fair. Just like I said, just I don't put up with the bad mouthing or bullying. And otherwise, everything is open game, guys. The door is open. Anybody else want to hang with us, they can. And I really look forward to interviewing again because
Yeah.
we're going to keep an eye out on all those new videos. Um,
Appreciate it.
and we'll see what it all turns into. You're doing a great job, and
Thank you.
we look forward to your new stuff. You guys all
Thank you.
have a great night. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for hanging out on the raw side.
Yep. Awkward ending.